Now we're recording. Do 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 do. Hello, everybody. How'd you like that? Made no
I
sense.
have,
It was
I,
weird.
Joe's just
I,
super excited his team won in Overwatch.
I have no idea what that was. I have no idea where that came from. I've literally never seen you do anything like that before.
You know, as I get older, I do
Interpretive dance by Joe.
as I get older, I do more weirder things than I normally do in my weirdness as myself in general. So, as my son would tell everybody, yeah, he likes to do that too. So I'm like, hey, it is what it is. This is what happens when you get older.
Yeah.
Next month, what is it? Friday? This coming Friday is May. At the end of that month, I will be 49 and then 1 year closer to 50. So let that midlife crisis start. It's the countdown. I told my son,
Well,
have fun when I turn 49 because that whole year is going to be a blast for you.
and just
Well,
go out and buy your
you run, but
Corvette
you
or
jump
your,
with the sun,
Wish.
but it's sinking.
Mustang, whatever, muscle car and be like, "Yeah, I'm cool and hot."
Styling and profiling. I'm going to break out a Ric Flair routine. That's what's going to happen. Yep, yep, yep. That's what's going to
Do
do.
the strut.
You mean where you act crazy to everybody?
What?
What?
Wait, what?
I
What's
What?
I
that?
saw an article talking about Ric Flair. Evidently, he was upset about Charlotte losing at WrestleMania. So I don't know how true that article is, of course, because there's so much BS on the internet. But for some reason, in my heart of hearts, I can almost believe that Ric Flair might be upset that Charlotte would lose at a WrestleMania because,
Well, I mean, when they're losing and the Bella twins, aka with Paige, are winning, there's a lot of people that could be upset about that one, but I
yeah, but
digress.
Ric Flair, I almost feel like would be upset because, hey, my daughter should be on top because she's a Flair, and we're the best, and this is real.
I mean, Ric Flair is so. I don't remember exactly how truthful this is, but in the HBO movie they did about Harry Truman that starred Gary Sinise back in the mid 90s, he read a newspaper review of his daughter giving like a singing recital, and the review was awful. Like it just ripped her to shreds and everything.
Hmm.
Truman wrote a very nasty letter to the reviewer, which then of course became public.
Of course.
Because if the president of the United States sends you a letter, ripping you to shreds, you're not going to share that. Um, and there's a scene
100%.
then there's a scene then in the movie where Truman's wife says, "I'm taking away his stamps." Somebody needs to take away Ric Flair's stamps, and by stamps in this case, I mean access to the internet, because he has a very long tendency now to go and post shit, which he then apologizes for within like 2 days because he goes off on some stupid fucking rant, which he clearly didn't think his way through before he went and posted it. See, this is why you don't post things when you're angry or emotional, because you're going to do something you're going to regret. You
I
know?
mean, yes, you will.
Um, but yeah, he was going on. I didn't even
Most of the time.
remember everything because like anytime I see like him pop up on like the wrestling sites anymore, I'm just like, oh shit, what the fuck did he say now? It's like I'm expecting nothing good.
I mean, I don't remember if I brought this up on night one or night two, but I do feel bad that he got a letter from WWE saying he had to remove his apparel off that Roots of Fights clothing line. That
I
one,
mean, yeah, that
that
was a bit of a fucked up situation from as best
that
as I could
that
understand.
sucks for him because he was selling that clothing line has become very popular. I have purchased. They're pricey, I will say that. Hence why I wait for Black Friday deals and certain sales to buy that stuff because it's $85 for a hoodie. Um,
Yeesh.
Sweatpants are like $75. T-shirts are anywhere from like 30 to $55 depending. Yeah, it's pricey stuff. But then they
Who the fuck
have
pays
brand.
$75 for sweatpants? I'm sorry, maybe I'm a little too much of a jerk, but Jesus Christ, $75 for fucking sweatpants?
Yes, yes. Now they do sell. So what this I don't, if you guys never been on it, it's fine. I found it and I started watching it and I wait for sales to buy stuff off there. But the clothing is good. The t-shirts fit very weird. They don't fit me very well. I have to buy a size up and they still feel kind of weird to wear. But they're sweatpants, hoodies, sweat shorts. Those items fit very well. So they have different athletes, like they have baseball athletes, basketball, football. So I have CM Punk stuff from there I bought. They have Walter Payton stuff I bought from that website. They have CC Sabathia and Babe Ruth from the Yankees on there. They
Never
have like
heard of him.
they have like Muhammad Ali and there's boxing and they have other they have musicians on there too. So it's all like a lot of different sweatshirts and apparel. So like for the wrestling part, the only active wrestlers they had on there was CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. But they also sold stuff for Roddy Piper, Macho
Mhm.
Man, Ric Flair, um, Andre the Giant, and I think I'm forgetting one other one.
Yeah,
Can't
like
think of.
guys who like aren't active really.
Yeah, like non-active guys. And from what I could tell, Flair was, selling merch because there was a couple times there was a couple items that Flair had. I'm like, ooh, that's a pretty cool Flair hoodie. And I'm like, I go on there and like the only sizes left were like 3X and 4X. Like all the other sizes were sold out. So I'm like, okay, he's selling pretty well on here. So I feel bad. So now WWE, is like, oh, this place is a up and coming, clothing brand. And they sell their own like hoodies, like with no logos on it, just plain colors and whatnot. And they're cheaper without the stuff on there, of course, but still on the pricey side. But WWE has made a partnership with them. So they told Flair he had to remove his items, which kind of sucks because he did well on there and now he's losing money. So I feel bad for him in regards to that. And then, WWE dropped their first launch, and of course, who is it? We got Undertaker stuff, we got Stone Cold stuff, and we got The Rock stuff. So like those are the three first WWE superstars that they put on there.
Dude, Rock.
Some cool items on there, not gonna lie. But yeah, I just that's one of the times where I feel like Flair is legit in regards to his rants because he wrote a huge post on there, bitching about complaining about it, which like I said, that one I think is valid because that sucks. You're taking money out of someone's pocket. In regards to that, I feel like they're doing that too because he still has that AEW contract for his energy
Well,
drink and all that stuff.
yeah, that's what I was going to bring up because I don't know what the situation is, and probably nobody on the outside does. It's like if the reason why WWE is basically forcing his stuff off there is because he still has an active contract of some kind with AEW, I kind of get it.
I
Call
mean, yeah,
boys.
I mean, it sucks, of course. It's not really cool. I mean, because it's not really fair for WWE to be able to say, "Oh, you can't sell this because this." But when it's like, well, it's because you're still actively working and getting paid by our competitor. It's like I kind of get it, but like I said, I still think overall it probably does suck. Yeah.
So since we started off talking about a little bit of wrestling,
ooh,
have either of you noticed that on Netflix there is a new special for a particular wrestler?
we're talking about Hogan.
Yes, we are talking
I
about Hogan.
I
Me and
I
Pat
I
watched it.
I have no idea what you are talking about, sir.
Okay, both you and Pat watched it already. I'm
Yeah.
in the midst of watching it. I am on the part where it's Hogan's knows best.
Oh God, that
Well, I think
TV.
that's the last part.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure it is. Um,
You on
I didn't see
episode
how many
three or
episodes.
four?
This would be four.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're on the
that's the
last
last
episode.
part.
Okay, so since you guys have watched it already, I wasn't sure if Pat was going to watch it just because it being Hogan, and now you have some very understandable disdain for Hogan as in his later years and stuff came out and stuff that he did. But the parts that I've gotten to see, it was very telling. Um, I think Hogan in his old age became very unfiltered as far as like telling the truth about like things in his wrestling career because he pretty much said that he screwed over people on purpose and did not give a shit. I was
I
like,
mean,
oh, How about
Yeah.
that? Like Bret Hart, he's pretty much like, yeah, I didn't think Bret Hart was the guy, so yeah, I made a decision for myself to take the title back. I was like, oh, you're a dick.
Well, yeah, like he made a decision to come back, and I think he influenced Vince's decision to put the title back on him.
Yes. Well, and he put it. He didn't say he wanted to take the title, but he definitely didn't feel that Bret Hart was the guy. He's like, I was still the guy. You know, Bret Hart wasn't, was not Hogan. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I
Well, he
kind of get
wasn't,
that.
but you know,
Yeah. But the thing of it is, I mean, Brett was pretty much proven right. I mean, it's like everybody wants to criticize what happened at WrestleMania 9, and I understand why. The crowd was that was there at WrestleMania 9 was totally into that, but as people also pointed out, that wasn't a real wrestling crowd at that
Mhm.
particular WrestleMania, like in that little fucking arena, if you want to even call it that they constructed in like a fucking parking lot at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. You know, it's like they said it wasn't a real wrestling crowd, it was tourists and everything, and that, like, you know, Hogan, even then in that last run there, that only lasted for what was about like 2 months until he dropped the title to Yokozuna at King of the Ring.
yeah.
That he wasn't getting very well received. I can't remember because that's the first year of Monday Night Raw. So like the business is different now from what it had been throughout
Yeah.
Hogan's career. I can't remember what the crowd receptions were like at the Raws where he appeared and everything, but it's like, yeah, it's like he wasn't, it wasn't like 1985 anymore, you know, in terms of his like reception from the audience and everything. So
Well, and
No.
it's funny because it goes right from that to him talking about him losing the belt and Vince starting to go a different direction than Hogan, and him believing that he still had a run left in him, and Vince didn't see it that way, and he didn't
All
agree with
guys
Vince.
do.
It's like I didn't agree with that. Vince is really, he's like, Vince is really smart in what he does, and this, and but he's like, I know my character, I know what my character had left, and it had another run in it, and then, you know, WCW comes along, and he's like, and I just wanted to prove to everybody that I was right.
I
And he
mean,
was wrong because, as you guys pointed out, you guys watched WCW. I did not. He was getting booed as a good guy.
Well, at the beginning, he was being cheered.
yeah.
Beginning,
And
he
I
was
would
being
say,
cheered.
I would say a year into his run is that's when they were like, okay, we've kind of had enough of this. And they started
Right.
booing,
But
they were booing
can you
him.
say his run in WCW would have been an actual, was a legit run that was making people pack the house for WCW, or it was like more of the nostalgia of Hogan that brought people, not necessarily.
I
I think for
I
like
say
the
it's both.
for the first few months, I think it was a bit of a nostalgia, but it was also
Yeah.
because WCW did the thing that WWF didn't do. They gave you Hogan versus Flair.
Yeah.
And so for
Yep.
the first few months, Hogan's feuding with Flair.
Yep.
Then they did the whole thing with Brutus Beefcake turning heel, becoming the Butcher.
Yeah.
Bruce the
And
Butcher.
while that was intriguing enough to get me to convince my dad to purchase Starrcade 1994 because we liked Brutus, I guess I guess we're the idiots. Um, you know, um, I don't think they really. Oh, the other reason, of course, is because that's when Macho Man showed up in
Right.
WCW. I think that was the other reason why we turned that because we wanted to see what was going to happen between Hogan and Savage, and they
Yep.
put them back together. Hey, we also got to see Alex Wright pin Jean-Paul Levesque
Yeah, we
at
did.
that pay-per-view. And I was like, that guy's never going to become anything.
Yes.
And I was
No,
right.
man.
Alex Wright didn't. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, he moved into a feud with Vader, and it wasn't bad. Like they had a pretty good match at Super Brawl in 1995, but Hogan did the Hogan thing. He wouldn't job. He no sells Vader's power bomb. And I think that's when people started turning against him. And then like the rest of that year became the shit with the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
where stuff started going down. The Dungeon of Doom stuff.
it got a little better when the Giant showed up, but then it culminated in that triple cage match at Uncensored 1996,
Might
where it
have
was
been
Hogan
censored.
and Savage against Flair, Anderson, Luger, and like the entire Dungeon of Doom, and of course Hogan and Savage won. I think that was the culmination of people kind of just getting sick of it. And the funny thing was that Hogan was gone after that. Like he was off filming something after that match, and he didn't really appear again until Bash at the Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was filming. Plus, he had some,
Wasn't he doing
tending
Thunder
to
in
some.
Paradise
He
He,
was
at that time?
no, that was after Thunder in Paradise. At that point, I think he was either filming that Three Ninjas movie that he was in, or
I
he was
think so.
filming that Santa with Muscles.
It was one of those two. Plus, he had some injuries too, where he was taking time off for that, but he had filming to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
So
If you actually even like from between when he showed up in July 1994 and July 1996, there's a bunch of pay-per-views that he didn't wrestle on when he
Yeah.
was champion too.
Yep.
And it was just because he kind of had a bit of a sweetheart deal, you know. But it's like it's kind of ridiculous when you're expanding your pay-per-view lineup and your world champion isn't on the show.
Correct.
yeah. Well, and he admits that he signed probably the sweetest deal in like wrestling with the control that he had within his contract to pretty much do whatever the heck he wanted to.
Bischoff
Uh,
was desperate to bring him in because he thought
yeah.
bringing in Hogan would give WCW relevance, and
Well, it did.
you can see Bischoff's point of view because you look back, it's like WCW had a pretty solid roster in like 1992, 1993,
They
but
weren't
they were
making
run
money.
so horribly, and they had been from the moment that they had bought out Jim Crockett
Yep.
Promotions, that they had been a money losing operation. So Bischoff was just trying to figure out ways for the company to be profitable, and he thought bringing Hogan in would do that. It did
Yeah.
eventually, but it didn't happen right away either, you
No.
know.
Yeah.
So
So it was just
It
it
boosted
was
stuff, but it wasn't. It was going towards the green, but still had a ways to go.
yeah. So it was just interesting because like his career, in my opinion, like I said, I did not watch WCW, but I didn't really start hearing about Hogan again watching wrestling until the formation and him being on NWO. That became, in my personal opinion, when his career reignited and became relevant, like super relevant again in the world of wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Um, so if he wants to say, I still had another run left, yes, but not as the superhero Hogan. It was as the villain Hogan. That's where your run was. And if you know Vince, Vince was never going to turn him heel. Vince would never do that.
No,
He
no.
was the superhero that would never die, just like John Cena became the superhero that would never
Yeah.
die.
Vince wasn't going to turn his golden egg into a heel because he
yeah.
probably thought that wouldn't work.
And that's why Vince, in his opinion, thought Hogan's run was done because he's like, okay, the crowd just they don't believe you, and they
He
don't believe
didn't
in it
think,
anymore.
yeah, Vince didn't think crowds would buy Hogan as a heel. And in a way, Vince was proven right from when he came back in 2002.
Hmm.
They bring him in with Hall and Nash as the NWO as heels, but you go back and you watch the No Way Out pay-per-view. They come out at the beginning of the show, they cut an in-ring promo. He's the third of the three guys to speak. They're cheering him even then.
Yeah.
And then of
And
course when they get to WrestleMania at the Sky Dome, it was like
it's one of those things too, like he's proven right at that point. But if you turn back the clock and turn him heel in the 90s, would it have worked in WWE? That's a what if question for sure.
Yeah, it
it's hard to say for sure because one of the reasons why he I mean Bischoff again was again trying to make WCW more national. I mean, it was a national company, but it still only worked in certain markets for the most part.
Yeah.
So Bischoff was trying to make it work in more markets, but it still had that southern base. It
Yep.
was still based on Jim Crockett Promotions, which was, Virginia, the Carolinas, and Georgia, basically. And Hogan was just hated because he was the guy who worked up north, you know.
Yep.
He didn't really wrestle, and then all that other shit. So
right.
that's why I
And
think it always worked with him being a heel in WCW. Would it have worked in WWF in the mid '90s? I just don't really know.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it
so,
worked too because you had the other two guys from the north, and then Hogan's from the north. So you just put them in that group, and you have instant lightning in a bottle that went longer than it should have. But yeah,
Yeah, well, the funny thing is too is like again, I remember watching Memorial Day 1996 and seeing Scott Hall walk down the stairs and then all of a sudden just walk. And I remember shouting out to my dad in the other room like, "Razor Ramon's on Nitro," you
I
know.
was like, oh shit, what is he doing here?
Right. And then,
Like,
and then of course, Nash shows up, a couple weeks later, and then they're talking about the third man. And this was at a time where my wrestling watching had become like intermittent. Um, so, but I remember like they were talking about and all the build up to Bash at the Beach. I think I even said, could Hogan be the third guy? Like, I just thought maybe it could be, but I didn't think it was likely. And then when I hear about what happened at Bash at the Beach, I went, oh my God, they did. So, and
Yeah.
my interest was immediately back. I was
yeah,
15 at the time, so I was like right in that age where it was like, yeah, like being the bad guy is appealing now. So,
because unfortunately, WWE, like even after Hogan left, I watched it. Bret Hart did fine, Shawn Michaels did fine, all that stuff, Undertaker, but it just felt like there was still something missing in the early to mid '90s with WWE. It just felt flat, even the Undertaker and stuff like that. I was watching it, but it just wasn't appealing. And WCW was the alternative at that time too. So I still watched WCW because I was a huge Sting fan. I semi liked Flair, but there was other people in WCW that I also liked that I always wanted to watch as
Right.
well.
And
In regards to that.
yeah, if the Era doesn't happen and Vince doesn't, let these guys do some risque things, WWE probably flounders, and we
And
may not have what we have now as far as this wrestling juggernaut. Um,
and
because
the only reason you get the attitude era is because of the NWO.
yeah, if he doesn't copy what the NWO is doing and put it in WWE, who
Yeah.
knows? We may we may not have either company. They
well,
both might have
True.
fallen.
One company was already doomed from the merger.
well,
So
this is
they were going to end at some point.
this is what it was. The only time Vince ever changed anything is when he was forced to because he had a viable
Yeah,
competitor.
Yep.
yeah, yeah. We talked about that
And
many times. Yeah,
he didn't really have it in the 80s into the early 90s because he put all the other territories except for WCW out of business. And then in the mid 90s, the NWO propelling WCW to insane heights, and ECW being there as like this alternative
Yeah.
forced him to start changing things. And then after WCW and ECW went out of business, the only other time it really looked like he might have done it is when AEW started. But then two things happened which made him realize he didn't need to worry about AEW. One was the pandemic, because that happened so soon after AEW had started. AEW it stunted AEW's growth. It did. It would have stunted anything's growth.
Yeah.
Um, but then he saw what AEW actually was, and he said, "This is not real competition."
It was real competition for one of their three brands, but not for all three.
Right.
yeah.
See, that's the
So
thing. It's like I love. There's one wrestling group on Facebook that shows up, and they're always going about, "Oh, look at Dynamite's viewership this week, and look at NXT's viewership," and I'm like, so Dynamite beat the third brand.
The developmental brand at that. Let's put it that
Yeah,
way.
but
so
anyway,
just kind of getting back to
yeah, getting back to Hogan. Yeah,
The Hogan thing, I just found it interesting. Like the three parts that I've seen, um, his come up, and there's been a lot of Hogan things out there, so there's a lot of this is like repeated, but there's
There's
the
stuff I learned that I didn't know
yeah,
is
there's
even
definitely stuff
real.
that I hadn't heard before, like because we're getting to hear from Linda in that
I don't think much of Linda as a person, but her perspective is still appreciated in this.
yeah, her
Yeah,
perspective is definitely appreciated.
100%.
Finding out that Hogan at one point in time was a good husband, in her opinion, of course, a good husband, a good father, and then at some point he started to live his character all the time. He stopped being Terry at home and started being Hogan at home. And that's
Yep.
when things changed. That's when their marriage started to flounder and stuff like that. And it's like, it's unfortunate. But we know as they were bringing other wrestlers in to talk about Hogan, and I forget who said it. I wish I could remember right now. They've seen it happen to other guys. Like other guys start living their gimmick all the time and can't make that distinction between
And it's hard too
life
when like
and wrestling life.
when you're one of the top guys and you're asked to do Make-A-Wish, all these, appear in all this stuff, advertising, marketing, you got to live that gimmick 24/7 at that point because they're asking so much of you. So you automatically start to get ingrained into it. So yeah, it's sad in regards to that it's hard for them to go home and turn that switch off and go back to their normal life, be the person they were before, they go out and everyone calls you Hulk Hogan, go back to being Terry. And I
Yeah,
think it
it's
was
like,
hard for him to do that.
I mean, we just were talking about him, so it's like Ric Flair
Yep.
became his gimmick in so
Yep.
many ways. The guy that they, for whatever reason, just decided to trash on in this documentary for no real reason.
What, Warrior?
Warrior obviously
Yeah,
couldn't
that was very
separate.
odd.
Warrior obviously could not separate himself from his gimmick, and the fact that he changed his name to Warrior and
Well,
was suing over who had the rights to the gimmick and everything.
let's be
I mean,
honest. What they said isn't anything we haven't heard in the past.
Right.
No,
but
it was just
what I'm saying
weird.
is
Like,
and look, I'm not a fan of Warrior as a person because I think he was a bit of a repugnant person. His anti-gay stuff is just
Of
very
course.
distasteful to me. But okay, you say, oh, Ultimate Warrior couldn't fill Hulk's shoes. Okay, that's fine. You struggled for years to find somebody who could. You didn't need to prove that by showing him fucking up pre-tape promos.
yeah, they
that was a
showed a
bit odd,
lot of
too.
those.
Who the fuck hasn't ever fucked up a pre-tape promo? I'm sure there's probably tons of footage of Hogan fucking up pre-tape promos out there, but of course they weren't going to show those. I mean, so
Yeah.
it felt completely unnecessary to just say, "Oh, fuck Warrior" like this. Again, and especially for a guy who isn't around to defend himself anymore. That's I mean, I can only imagine what Warrior would have said because we know how he reacted to the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD back in the day. But it's like that just felt like completely unnecessary, and they spent like
Yeah,
a
it
good
was.
5 minutes on it.
Yeah, they kept on going back to him doing the one promo and being like, fuck, I've screwed it up again.
Yeah,
Fuck,
and it's
I
like,
screwed
well,
it up again.
shit. With the shit that he said, it's no wonder you would fuck it up because those aren't natural things to say.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm like, what? And I thought that too. I'm like, man, they're showing the Warrior like snippets a lot here. Like, why did they like? Because it was almost like they were trying to make the Warrior look bad to show how great Hogan was
Well, that's
and
exactly
his
what they were
promo
doing.
skills. We all know Hogan could go do a promo pretty naturally with probably one take. And I thought that was really funny that Linda, during that, she's like, yeah, he could go in there in one take and do a great promo. I'm like, yeah, probably depending on what the day was, I'm sure he could, but I'm sure it wasn't like that every single time.
Yeah. Look, I mean, everybody's gonna fuck up. That's just the way it is. I mean, remember, I mean, just talking about, notable promo fuck ups. Remember the time that Sid fucked up a live promo and was like, "Can we start this again?" And Jim Ross is like, "Man, we're live, pal."
I know. I forgot about that one.
No, and I'm not picking on Sid. I'm just saying, look, it happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it does.
It's
It's kind of like the other thing too is like just overall, like separate the personal side of him to the wrestling side. Like he did make a comment, like he like calling himself the GOAT, right?
oh my God, yes.
But to be honest with you, that's a valid comment.
It is. I mean,
It is because,
he
and you can't take
still,
that away from him because of
he's,
WrestleMania doesn't work with Hogan and all celebrities. You put somebody else in that position, the company's totally different.
yeah,
You
he's
take the
still,
WCW and the NWO run, WWE is losing, and WCW still going to struggle. And if Hogan doesn't turn heel, you don't know where that goes. And if you put anybody else in the NWO with those two, like Sting or Macho Man, it's not going to work. It's not going to
or
have the
or,
same
or
thing.
or the British Bulldog or Mabel.
Yeah, not
So
going to
when
work.
I think about when Hogan said he's the GOAT, I from a standpoint of not wrestling, because his in-ring work was, was
It was
for
average.
it was average. But as a personality, what he was able to do for the business in such a long period of time, you're talking what the early 80s to what the 2000s, right?
Basically saying what, 83, Pat, to, is that right?
Maybe just call it 84 because that's when he won the title.
Okay.
Or I mean, you could go say 82, 83 if you want to count when he turned face in AWA because that's really is what started.
Right, that
that-
started Hulkamania.
That's what made
Just
Vince McMahon realize he can be the guy I can build my company around that I intend to take
right.
national.
He
You know?
just yeah, Hulkamania started in AWA, and then
I mean,
he
yeah, I'm
just
pretty sure he
changed
said
it a
Hulk.
little bit with the red and yellow and the
I'm
American
pretty sure he
flag.
coined the term Hulkamania in AWA.
Yeah.
You know,
So, during that time period, was there somebody that was more influential, brought more people to a ring than Hulk Hogan? No.
yeah.
As big as Ric Flair was, he was big in the South. He was
The
not big nationally.
the only person in the modern era, and by modern, I mean I'll call that the cable TV era. The only person who could ever say he was as big a star as Hulk Hogan is Steve Austin.
Yeah.
He's the only other person you can put on that same pedestal as Hogan in terms
There are
of
some people that are probably like, ugh. I know one
well,
person that would say ugh to that, but
that's
it's the
fine.
truth.
He can't deny how big of a star Austin
No, Austin
became
was a
and how
huge star.
he was the main star when WWE, well, WWF still at the time, reached arguably their biggest heights too. You could say
Right.
they were a
If it
bigger
wasn't for
company
Austin,
in the late 90s, early 2000s than they were at any point in the 80s. So, that was based on Austin. Now the thing of it is, Hogan was on top for longer than Austin was. Austin's peak really only lasted from say like 1997 to 2002.
Yeah.
So it's really only 5 years, and he was out for one of those years with the neck surgery.
yeah.
Um, Hogan's peak you could say was 1984 to 1991, 1992. So it's a couple years longer than Austin's was. But yeah, I mean, Hogan and Austin are the two biggest stars. Now, again, if you want to go back to like the pre-cable TV eras, yeah, you can start throwing in other guys and like the network TV era or whatever, like the Jim Londuses and the Gorgeous Georges and Vern Gagne's and guys like that. But even if you were to account for that, I mean, it was still much more regional. So again, I still would say Hogan and Austin are the two biggest stars of all time in wrestling.
Well, then you have to add Hogan's NWO run. So you got to start with that 96 to whatever what that was, because that was
Let's say like 99,
peak
basically.
Hogan too. So you got to add those years onto that too.
Yeah.
So one
Now,
of the other things,
one thing. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I will say this: you're talking about how he like can't separate himself from the gimmick and living the gimmick. By the time you get to the end of episode 4, you will see just how true that is.
Oh yeah.
But you got to see exactly what I mean by that. So I won't spoil exactly what
Yeah.
that is, but just that it's still there. It was
I
still
thought
there
some of
in
the wrestlers that they had in this, and that was nice too, to see some different wrestlers talk about him than other than just the WWE guys, like from a WWE production standpoint. Because you
Yeah.
had Jesse in there, you had Jake the Snake, you had Cody talking about him
McMahon.
because Cody was giving that younger perspective.
Yeah.
McMahon's
Brian Blair.
voiceover.
Yeah. Brian Blair, because he was one of Hogan's, really good friends.
Yeah, Brian Blair. So it was
yeah.
just nice to see some other perspectives.
Jerry
because-
Lawler too was on there for a bit, talking about how he first met Hogan and how
in
green he
Memphis
was.
when Hogan didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna manage that guy. He sucks.
He's
What
not
I
going to
really
go
know.
anywhere. Little do you know, brother.
what I found interesting, and of course, people, and I still see it too with some of the comments that I see pop up and the shit that shows up in my Facebook feed. People getting pissy with like the snippets that they showed in the trailers of Bret Hart, like calling Hogan a liar and everything. Brett's very praiseworthy of Hogan at times in this too. He
Yeah, he
says
is.
everybody wanted to be on the same card that Hogan was on because they knew that's where the money is. He says Hogan was a 10 out of a 10 on a promo, so he's
Yeah.
not completely negative, it
No.
just
No,
and
he
I know
just
Brett's I
hated when
know
Hogan
Brett's
threw his weight around and got what he wanted
right. I know Brett's bitter
because he
about
would hold
things.
guys down to
Yeah,
keep himself up top.
I know Brett's bitter about things, but I still think Brett's mostly
At least in
fair,
Brett's
and he was
opinion.
in this. But it was also very like you mentioned him just now. It was very interesting to hear how nice Jesse Ventura was to him because if anybody had a legit reason to be pissy with
Yeah,
Hogan
I know.
still
I
to
was a
this
little
day,
surprised
it's
by that too.
Ventura. So I mean, Hogan ratted out Jesse trying to unionize the locker room in the '80s, and then he
Mhm.
was working for WCW in the early '90s, and as soon as Hogan came in, Jesse was out.
I,
So
I, I don't think the holding down talent for Hogan really started happening until like he came back for that WrestleMania when he didn't think Brett was the man. Because
Right.
before that, he was the man and he was doing his thing. They tried the Warrior, that didn't work. They put the belt back on him, and stuff like that. I don't think he was holding. That wasn't a time frame where you could really say Pete he was holding anybody down because he was still making fucking. He was still the top guy. He's making
Right.
all the
And
money.
I'm saying that from Brett's point of view. That's the Brent's point of view being,
Well, yeah, and I can say from that point on, from like when he came back for that SummerSlam and all that, yeah, Brett has a legit argument because he was the man on top and he kind of said, "Oh, he's not the guy, so let's come back and put the belt back on Hogan." That's a
yeah,
mistake, which yeah, pretty much
Brett
kind of was.
Brett wrote about this a lot in his book, and it's been years since I've read it, and I don't have it with me, so I can't, go look it up. I can't do the Russell Brand thing and look for the passage. Um, but Brett basically was always under the impression, and one of the reasons why he was okay with what they did at WrestleMania was that his understanding was there was going to be a match between him and Hogan at SummerSlam in 1993, and Hogan would drop the belt back to him. And then it was a whole big thing as to why that didn't turn out to be the case. And Brett basically in his book, he made it sound like Vince played both guys against each other.
He probably did.
Like he said one thing to Hogan, he said a different thing to Brett, and then when they both confronted him simultaneously, Vince kind of denied what both of them thought, and so and Brett see, the way I remember reading it was I even thought Brett had like sympathy for Hogan in that because he realized that Hogan was getting screwed over was not screwed over, but screwed around by Vince too. You know, that like they were all just the puppets on Vince's string. So that's the thing. It's like Brett has obviously got more bitter about that as the years have gone on since he even wrote that book and everything. Um, but it's not unfair for Brett to be pissed about what happened at
No.
WrestleMania 9. I mean, he was also salty, of course, the fact that Yokozuna ended the match about 5 minutes early and cut out most of Brett's comeback. So, uh,
I think this other thing too is like I think that early. I'm not sure if that specific incident is you can be the beginning point or if there's something that happened before that we don't know about, but just that situation that you described of his book, it feels like that was the foreshadowing of what was to come one with Vince telling people what he wanted them to think and then telling others what they wanted them to think to appease everybody and then he's just going to make his final decision and if they're pissed so be it,
right. I mean,
hence the screw job.
yeah, there are plenty of people to whom Vince made promises over the years, if you choose to believe them or not. Um, and so he's done that to everybody throughout history. And the reason why I'm saying like if you choose to believe them or not, shut up, Alexa. My sister's stupid Alexa going off. Um, Bad News Brown, bringing him up since he was just in the news a little bit for being inducted into the Legacy Hall of Fame. Um,
Yep.
Bad News Brown said that one of the reasons he quit WWF in 1990, I believe it was, is that he says, and this again, this is he saying it, so take it with a, and I would take this one with a grain of, well, actually, you know what? Let me just say, he said Vince promised to make him the first black heavyweight champion.
I can
It's a
Now,
see Vince saying
possibility.
that.
I can see Vince promising that,
Yep.
and I can also see Vince never intending to make that true.
Correct.
because WWF was always a babyface territory. Heel champions were few and far between. When Superstar Billy Graham was champion for what was like 9 months there in 1977 after he beat Bruno Sammartino, that was remarkable for WWF. And if you look between Superstar Billy Graham's run and the end of 1990 when Bad News Brown quit, the only times that there were a heel champion was the month that the Iron Sheik was champion, when Andre won the title and then gave it to DiBiase, and then it was immediately vacated.
Mhm.
And the 2 or 3 months that Savage held the title after turning heel in 1989. Those were the only times there was a heel champion in WWF.
Oof.
So it was kind of naive for Bad News Brown to think that Vince was going to put the title on him, in my view.
Yeah.
But Vince would, of course, definitely promise things to people just to keep them placated until they finally realized, you know what, he's fucking with me.
So I would like to steer away from wrestling because the NFL draft happened recently.
Oh.
Yeah,
Did either of you pay attention to the draft at all?
I do. Every year.
I briefly, I briefly paid attention. I watched a little bit. I had it playing in the background.
That's a takeoff
Yes.
on a famous quote about "We have won the war, now we must win the peace."
Um,
You can win on draft day, but then you got to actually, develop these players.
So the Eagles,
There you
from what
go.
I saw, the Eagles took a quarterback, they took a wide receiver, they took a guy that has never played football as a defensive lineman.
They took a quarterback?
Yeah, I think it was like a 5th round or something like that. Or
I got to look this up now because I didn't see a lot of the draft yesterday because I was driving between New Jersey and home and watching a movie. So I didn't. And the Giants only had 3 picks yesterday, but they weren't until the 6th round. So yeah, I didn't. So let me look this up.
and the Flyers lost yesterday. Stupid idiots.
Well, they're still up 3-1 after that.
I
right?
know, but still. It's just annoying. Yeah, Cole
All
Payton
right,
was their quarterback draft.
Where are the Eagles? Well, Mel Kiper gave them an A.
Yeah, Cole Payton was a 5th round draft pick.
Oh, that's right. They took the guy from North Dakota State. Okay, yeah.
He's a good quarterback.
I liked their first 2 picks. They traded up a couple spots with the Cowboys, which was kind of ironic.
Yeah,
take-
the Cowboys allow that.
Well, you got to remember the Cowboys and the Eagles made a trade at the draft a few years ago. It was when the Eagles took Devontae Smith. They traded up with the Cowboys to get ahead of the Giants to take Devontae Smith.
Oh, then the Cowboys didn't care then at that point.
But the Cowboys, I think, probably took perverse pleasure knowing that they were also screwing over the Giants. So
Yes, correct.
But no, the Eagles took Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver from USC in the first round. They took Vanderbilt tight end Eli Stowers in the second round. I think that was also a good pick. Cole Payton could be an interesting developmental quarterback. And then they took a couple offensive linemen, a safety, a defensive tackle, and an edge rusher, it says. So
Yeah, Uar Bernard is the guy that has never played football. So they're trying to.
Is he an international guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to do the same thing that they did with their offensive tackle. Shit. Now, how terrible is that? I can't even remember his name all of a sudden.
There are also those international roster exemptions. So it's like even if he's not ready to play, they can stick him on that thing and keep him on the practice squad. So that's not a horrible pick.
No, I don't think it's a horrible decision because they did it with the rugby guy. Why can't I think of his freaking name? That's terrible.
I'm not sure who you mean.
He plays the offensive tackle. He plays the blindside tackle. Shit.
I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about because I remember hearing a story about that.
Yeah, because he was a rugby guy. So it's terrible that I can't remember his name. He's one of the best offensive linemen that they got.
You should know your team better than us, man.
I know. It's sad.
I like my team's first 2 picks, especially the first one. That safety dropped to us, which I was happy about.
The guy who made the interception that sealed the Oregon win over Penn State.
Correct. And our offensive lineman, the center, I'm fine with that. All the rest of the draft picks, I've heard Bears fans kind of bitching that we didn't go more defensive heavy, but at this point, I just trust the process. They picked who they wanted for specific reasons. And listen, we still have I know they restructured 2 more players' contracts to get more cap space. So let's see what they do with that cap space, because I was looking at the free agent list that's still out there. And there are some interesting names that are still on the free agency list. Definitely on the older side, but definitely could be situational players on third down rotations and things of that nature. So maybe they'll sign one of those older guys on the free agent and kind of plug and play for them for 1 year until after next season, when they have a little bit more free cap space and they can do what
Jordan
they want to do.
Mailata.
That's it. Yep. So that it rings a bell when you say it. So yeah, so I'm fine with who we drafted. I'm just gonna trust the process. I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape about it.
Yeah. The Eagles also made a trade for that guy from the Vikings,
Cool.
Greenard,
Yes.
which a lot of people I think were saying was it was a good trade.
Yeah, it was a good trade. He's a good player.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with the draft.
And
Yeah, I think the Eagles did well.
Kuiper gave the Bears draft a B.
That's
Um,
fine.
He
B
gave
for
my
Bear.
team's draft a B plus. Now I'll say this. I didn't want the Giants to draft Caleb Downs because I don't think he's as good as people think he is. Like I don't think a lot of people were projecting him to the Giants because, like, in Harbaugh's tenure with the Ravens, oh, he had Ed Reed and oh, he had Kyle Hamilton. I don't think Downs literally measures up to those two guys. And so I don't think he's going to project to the NFL quite as well. So I didn't want the Giants to take him. I also didn't want the Giants to take Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State, because his injury history frightens me a little bit. The Giants already have one
Yeah.
number one receiver who's coming off a major injury. So, it's going to be bad enough. So I never would have expected them to take Arvell Reese because I don't remember seeing any mock drafts that had Arvell Reese still being available at number 5. So I can't really complain about them taking, like, yes, they still have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Abdul Carter, but it sounds like they might use Reese in multiple ways. So that's
Yeah.
fine. I was
And
good with the pick of Maui Goa because they can probably have him play like right guard this year, and then in a couple of years slide him back out to right tackle. So I think that's good. The cornerback from Tennessee that they drafted in the second round, I think a lot of people had him going at the end of the first round, and they definitely need corner help. So that sounds good.
He's a good
I like,
player too. Hood's a good
yeah,
player, man.
I like Malachi Fields, the wide receiver from Notre Dame, obviously because he went to Notre Dame.
Of course.
Obviously.
It was weird though that they traded up and to take him, and they gave up like 3 picks to do it because they traded up.
They must say something.
They traded up from the 4th round into the 3rd round. That was like a difference of 30 picks, and in order to do that, they also traded their 5th round pick this year and a 4th round pick next year. So
They might
that was
get
a bit of
compensatory picks
a
though for
weird
doing that,
trade.
so it might not be that big of a deal.
It'll depend, yeah. So, and then they took 3 developmental type guys, a defensive tackle, an offensive tackle, and a linebacker in the 6th round. They still very clearly need help at defensive tackle, but I think they're going to sign a couple of veteran free agents in the coming days. Once, like, I think starting tomorrow, you can sign free agents and it won't count against the compensatory pick formula for next year.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's
Because
smart.
right now, I think they were saying the Giants are on track to get a 4th round compensatory pick, which is probably why they were willing to trade the 4th round pick next year
Yep.
in that trade up. But it's like if they were to sign that guy today, they could nullify that pick. So they have to wait till tomorrow to do it. So
Listen,
so
overall,
I'm happy with what the Giants drafted. Like I said, now you got to develop the guys because 3 years ago, or whatever the hell it was, 4 years ago, the Giants had 2 picks in the top 10 who were Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Thibodeau's been okay. He hasn't been a game changer though, really. And Evan Neal has been a complete bust. So but I'm just more hopeful that they have a better coaching staff now that can actually coach and develop these guys properly. So that's my hope.
Yeah.
listen, you
I
guys
hope
have
not.
teams in the playoffs right now, so the only thing I'm worried about is this right here on baseball. I think I'm watching basketball and hockey. I'm rooting for the
I was going to
Hurricanes.
say, what team do I
Um,
have in the playoffs?
uh,
Come on, the Knicks, dude.
Stop it now.
No, I'm being dead serious.
Well, you don't own a team. You have a team that you watch that's in the playoffs.
Oh, no. Oh boy. Whew.
This
I'm sorry,
jackass
I
has to be
forgot the Knicks
technical
are in
all
the
of a sudden,
playoffs.
Jeremy.
No, I totally blanked on the Knicks there.
He forgot about his Knicks being in the playoffs.
Well,
Oh Lord.
And they're
because as I've said so many times, I so infrequently pay attention to the NBA. Did they win
they
yesterday?
yes, they won
Oh, they won
yesterday. They
yesterday, so it's
tied the
tied at
series
two
2 to
now.
2.
Okay, yeah.
Cat had what, a triple double or a double double or something like that. He had a good game.
Towns had 20, 10, and 10. Yeah.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
a triple double. His first, I think his first career playoff triple double. I think they mentioned it as.
So what else
Hey,
happened?
I will say I'm
The
worried about
Magic beat the
Detroit.
Pistons again.
Yes, Orlando beat the Pistons again.
They're up
I saw
2-1
that
now.
coming a
Wow.
mile away.
Yes,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
be honest
why.
with
I
you.
just did.
The Pistons are good, but like Orlando in the last 2 months of the season, after the trade deadline and all that, that team has really come together and like made
Go,
a
Paolo
fucking run.
Banchero.
Like that team's all in. Detroit, we're gonna see another eight beat a one again.
And I see the Thunder are up 3-0 and the Suns and the Timberwolves have a 3-1 lead on Denver. I mean, they're not that far apart in record, but Denver did have a better.
Listen, the Lakers they're up 3-0 against the Rockets. And I'm so listen, I'm so tired of this. KD played one fucking game in that series. He played okay. The Lakers don't have Luca, but they still got LeBron, and we're all praising LeBron carrying the fucking Lakers. Okay, carrying the Lakers against a KD less fucking Rockets team. And let me tell you, that Rockets team is not that fucking good to begin with, even with
They won
KD on
52
there.
games.
What was that?
They won 52 games.
Yeah, good for them.
In the West, which is struggling to be competitive right now.
Now, the West is better than the East. I will say that overall. So a lot of those fucking
That's
wins
because
for
the
the
top
West
teams
teams
are really good.
are beating the fucking East. Let's put it that way. But
Right. Well,
nonetheless,
that's because the top teams in that division are heads and shoulders above the East top teams. But there's a huge disparity between the top teams and in the
look at the
West and what
oh,
the team, you got your top teams here and then everybody else is kind of way down here in the
well, look at
West.
the bottom half of the East compared to the West. The bottom half of the West is way better than the bottom half of the East too. So, yeah, it's uh, Lakers can make it to the second round, and they're going to lose in the second round.
Yeah. And then I see today's games we got Cavs, Raptors, Spurs, Blazers, Celtics, Sixers, where the Cavs, Spurs, and Celtics have 2-1 leads, and then Lakers, Rockets, where the Lakers are looking for the sweep.
So the thing before we go any further into the NBA, I brought up the draft because I found it really funny that a certain person did not get drafted. Now they could still make a team. Diego Pavia did not get drafted.
Are you referring to Vanderbilt quarterback and Heisman Trophy finalist and needs to shut the fuck up and stop running his mouth, Diego Pavia?
Yes, that is exactly who I am
He didn't
mentioning.
get drafted. I didn't even.
He did
I
not
didn't
get drafted.
You want to know something? I forgot about that guy because he's that irrelevant to me.
I did too. Look,
He's
the
that
pro-
irrelevant to me.
the problem for him is something that he unfortunately can't
Control.
fix.
His
He's
height.
just too small to be an NFL quarterback.
He's tiny. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I remember years
Coming
ago.
from a tiny guy. He's
I
tiny.
remember years ago, Troy Smith, who won the Heisman Trophy, if I recall, coming out of Ohio State. He didn't get drafted until like the fourth round, and he never became anything more than a backup in the NFL. I don't remember how much he even actually played. I'm not going to go bother to look up his stats. I remember ESPN at the time still did like live chats on their website and everything. And I remember he did one in like a week or so before the draft that year. And he sounded slightly delusional from the aspect of like he couldn't understand why he wasn't being thought of as more of a pro prospect. He was saying, I don't know what else it is I have to do, to prove myself. And it's like, Troy, I don't think it's anybody that questions like your ability or, the fact that you did have success in college, but they question your measurables. And because there are very few quarterbacks under say like 6'2" who have ever been successful NFL quarterbacks, and you're 6 foot. So that's the problem. And Diego Pavia is 5'10",
maybe 5'10". They
Yeah,
they always overestimate their true height.
like
That is
when I'm
true.
trying to think of like undersized NFL quarterbacks who had success, and this guy only had success in spurts. The only guy that was coming to mind for me is Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really think of too many others. It's like everybody else is like kind of a
Well,
giant,
how
So
tall was shit
Just real quick, I just checking the undrafted free agents, and he has not been signed as an undrafted free agent as of yet.
that see teams are very anxious to get as many guys signed as they can as soon as the draft ends. So the fact that we're now uh 12, 15 hours since the draft ended and still nobody's has like, made him an offer or signed him, that's a little interesting.
Minnesota has signed a shit ton of undrafted free agents. They have a huge list.
The
Holy shit.
Giants have already signed like eight
So
or
does the
nine, I think.
Chargers. They have a huge list.
Okay, so here, Drew Brees was the other one that I was thinking
Oh,
about.
Breeze Dub. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he wasn't very tall either.
No, he was
Um,
6 foot.
well, he's not very tall. He's still alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
Breeze is 6 foot. Doug Flutie is 5'10". But again, his success in the NFL, like I said, was pretty fleeting.
Yes.
So
He had his runs, but ultimately they
well,
would always
he
fall short.
failed in the NFL, and then he revived himself in the CFL,
Yeah.
and that made him be able to come back to the NFL, and he had a couple good seasons. But yeah,
Yeah. They were short-lived, but yeah, it's never like everybody, I shouldn't say everybody. The people that get butt hurt the most are the quarterbacks, are the players themselves about why I can't understand. I can't understand. It's 9 out of 10 times it's not a talent thing. It's a physical attribute that you have no control over. Like you said, it's usually height, especially at the quarterback position. You need to be able to see over the offensive linemen.
exactly.
Offensive linemen are
That's
between 6'3" and 6'5".
yeah,
If you're 6 foot, you can't see over a
And
6'3"
that's
guy.
average because there's some 6'7", 6'8" dudes in the offensive line
Yeah, no,
too.
it's like you just can't see. Like you have to be able to see your receivers, and you need to be able to throw over them. If they stand up straight and then a defensive guy who's going to be the same height as your offensive lineman puts his arm up, that ball's blocked almost every time.
yeah. This is the thing that I think people have a hard time understanding. It's like they watch a college football game and they see a guy be a standout. And then you see that guy a couple years later in the NFL, and that guy is lost. And you go, but he was so good in college. It's like, yeah, because in college, you're talking about there are
A
it's
couple elite guys on a
I
team.
120 130 FBS teams now, 135 FBS teams now, and we're not even talking about FCS teams or Division two teams that these teams might play like in the early season. So you're talking about how many players in the NFL? It's 32 teams. You know,
Right. You have the elite players on every single team.
you get weeded out.
Yeah.
Everybody in the NFL is bigger, stronger, faster than everybody in college. That's just the way it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The
So,
guys that,
of
that
course, you don't necessarily see it on the field that way, but the guys who are paid to evaluate these players know this shit
yeah,
because
they're
they
looking at,
watch this
okay,
shit.
can this
Yeah.
guy compete against a full team of this caliber player?
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very true because if you think about even like teams that have had dominant programs, the Alabamas, the Oklahomas, like all these different teams that have had dominant eras and like have been pristine programs. Think about how many players on their team are elite players that go to the NFL and make a name for themselves. It's not a lot. Like
Yeah.
Nope.
2, 3 out of a draft. Like that's not a lot of guys on that team. Like so you're talking two to three guys maybe tops per team that get drafted, and then how many of those guys become elite players? Maybe one guy out of each.
Do the
You know,
average.
you know, it's tough. Like yeah, making the going to college. What is it like? 1% of high school players make the college, and there's how many players that go to college and play in college ball?
And all the
and it's
colleges,
1%.
I still say Division 1 and Division 2. I hate the other names that they use for them, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're talking about 1% of high school players make the make to the college ranks, and then you're talking even a smaller percent. Still one. I think it's still 1%, but that 1% is much smaller
Yeah.
than you know that
Even
make it
with
to the
Approx-
7
NFL. And
rounds,
then
it's still
what? Half of those guys don't ever see the field that make it to.
approximately 6.5 to 7.8% of high school football players go on to play college football at any level,
Any
NCAA,
level.
NCAA, NAIA, or junior college. Only about
Right.
1.1 to 2.5% of high school players make it to the NCAA Division 1 level.
Right.
Less
And that's
than
what most kids look for. They want to be Division 1 players.
less than
So,
0.025% of high school players make it to the NFL, which is roughly 1 in 4,000.
yes. So it's one of those things. Like, yes, you can be a great college player, and there's been a ton of really great college players that have either not been drafted or get drafted and turn out to be nothing in the NFL because they can't make that transition because that transition is such a big goddamn leap.
Yeah.
So
There are two players I saw
that's why I
play.
always say get your education.
There are three players I saw play in high school football in my life in this area where we live. Jeremy and I live, and Joe used to live. That I saw and I went, wow, that's guy's going to be something. The first one was Jonathan Linton, who played at Catasauqua High School. He went on to play at University of North Carolina, and then he did play in the NFL for a few years with the Bills and maybe somebody else, but he didn't have a remarkable NFL career by any means. The second guy was Austin Scott,
mm,
who then went to Penn State but got hurt, had to redshirt a year, and then ended up having personal issues, and he never made the NFL that I
yep.
remember. The third guy was Saquon Barkley.
Funny enough, I never saw him play.
Really?
Like even though he lived, not he lived, he did actually live very close to where I live.
Yeah.
But even though he went to Whitehall High School, I never went and saw him play. Like I've never been one of those guys that really got into high school watching high school football.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some
So,
of the high school games when they had him on the channels. I watched it.
but he was
Yeah.
a fucking monster.
Yeah, he was.
To this day, my dad, even though he lives back in Jersey now, he still watches the Big Ticket on WFMZ on Friday nights when it's high school football season. So,
I used to too.
yeah,
I love watching high school football.
yeah.
I didn't care
But
who was playing.
yeah, but so it's like those are like the only guys who, and this isn't like a rural area here in the Lehigh Valley. Um, but like those are the only guys that I can think of who even got to play like big time. Like okay, well there's also Jahan Dotson went to Nazareth High School, and then of course he went to
Yes.
Penn State, and now he's in the NFL.
Yeah.
Um,
Peyton Falzone is a possibility, but
yeah,
my
but
problem with him is we
yeah,
didn't get to see
it's
him in his
just you
senior
just see
year.
how hard it is just from that and that alone. It's like if you don't play in like these real big college hotbeds, like, and I guess Lehigh Valley isn't a big enough football hotbed. Other parts of the state of Pennsylvania are more in like Western Pennsylvania. They always talk about all the Western Pennsylvania quarterbacks, Joe Montana and Jim Kelly and, blah, blah, blah. But it's like the big college football hotbeds are still Texas, Florida, California, Ohio kind of is
Yeah.
too. And so, yeah.
But there was I'll have to look it up, but I think there was another kid from this area that recently either played in the NFL or got drafted in the NFL, I want to say. Um,
Let me see if I
but
can maybe
Peyton
do a
Falzone
search.
from Nazareth is another kid that could. My problem with it, and I'm trying not to judge too early, but his senior year he got injured, so you didn't see much of him. So you don't know how he's going to come back, how strong he'll be, how ready he'll be. Plus, his junior year was not as good as his sophomore year. Like his junior year, he put a. I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't have a good year, but it wasn't as good as his previous year. And
Yeah.
it was funny because I mentioned that to somebody that follows high school football a lot more than I do, and they're like, "Well, he didn't have the receivers and stuff like that." I'm like, "Okay, but if he's that good of a high school player, even at the quarterback, because the quarterback does rely a lot on being able to throw the ball and stuff like that. But at high school, you also know that quarterbacks run a lot too. They're much more of a run than a pass quarter, in that essence of the scheme of things. He still should have been. I don't. Maybe not from a passing aspect if he doesn't have as good as receivers on his team, but just from an overall standpoint, he should be able to put up pretty comparable numbers on a consistent basis from one year to the next, especially when you're going into your junior year. Like you should, in my personal opinion, not the expert on everything, but in my personal opinion, you should be able to continue to put up considerable numbers if you're that good. I mean, he must be that good because he did get, not drafted, but he did get signed to college. He did, you know, get a scholarship to play at Penn State. So it's not like, and other colleges are going after him too. So
Man, it's a premier Big Ten school too that got him. So
yeah,
Well, there's a Wikipedia page of list of people from the Lehigh Valley, which is broken down into various facets of life. If you go to the NFL section, it's Saquon Barkley, Chuck Bednarik, who of course is a football Hall of Famer. He was born in Bethlehem and went to Liberty High School. Jahan Dotson, as I mentioned, Dan Koppen, who used to play for the Patriots and the Broncos. He went to Whitehall. Um, Noel Lamontagne, I remember him because he played at Southern Lehigh High School. So he played against my high school, Penargil. He's only a few years older than me. I remember seeing him. I remember the programs they used to have. Because he was listed when he played at Southern Lehigh. He was like the only freshman on the roster for Southern Lehigh High School, and he was like a huge guy then. I think he was listed at like 6'2" and like 280 as a ninth grader.
damn,
So he played
that's a
very
big boy.
briefly. He played very briefly for the Browns in the NFL. Jonathan Linton, as I mentioned, Ed McCaffrey went to Allentown Central Catholic.
Yep.
Matt Millen
hmm
went to Whitehall High
yep, he
School.
was a Whitehall guy.
Andre Reed, of course, another
Yep,
football Hall of Famer. He went to Deeriff High School.
Yep.
the
Um,
last great athlete from Deerf.
yeah.
Yeah.
John Spagnola, who was a tight end for mostly the Eagles in his career, he went to Bethlehem Catholic. Uh, Tony Stewart, who played at Penn State, he was a tight end. He also went to Central Catholic High School. He played for the Eagles, Bengals, and Raiders in his career. I'm going to say a name that's probably going to trigger Joe a little bit here. Kevin White, wide receiver who went to Emmaus High School, then went to West Virginia, was the Bears' first round pick. It's number 7 overall back in 2015 and just never lived up to that status.
Nope.
Um, Andre Williams, who was a running back, who played for the Giants a couple of years, he went to Parkland. Um, and this one's interesting because he's still technically active. Kaiser White, who went to also Emmaus High School and went to
Yes,
West
guy. Yeah,
Virginia. He played for the Chargers, Eagles, Cardinals, Titans, and was with the Titans as recently as last year. I don't know if he's signed with anybody right now, but um, so there have been a few. But again, you think about this is over how many different years and everything, so it's still pretty rare.
yeah. It's still very rare in Lehigh Valley to have guys. One of those kids that could happen is Andrew Olson. He's a Southern Lehigh grad. He was at Penn State and he transferred through the transfer portal to another college. So we'll see if he gets any playing time and turns into
Yeah, we looked up where
anything.
he went,
Yeah, I forget.
and now I can't remember. Hold on,
It was a college that had a lot of girls where he can
Jeremy.
party.
Jeremy, he went to a college. Well, I'm very glad Joe's here to tell us these things.
That's what I'm here for, guys. That's what I'm here for.
I want to
He
say
transferred
Oklahoma.
he transferred out to Oregon. So
Oregon.
Oregon.
I was right with the O, just the wrong O. I
he's
said
he
Oklahoma.
he could still have a pretty good chance because obviously Oregon's a pretty big program. So
Yeah. Well, I think he probably saw the writing in the wall at Penn State. Like, there's too many guys in front of me.
well, I don't think it was that so much. I think it had as much to do with the coaching change. I mean,
Yeah.
this is going to be with in the days of the transfer portal and the NIL and everything. You're going to see this happen plenty of times. If there's a coaching change, you're going to see huge roster turnover.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
The two of the three college teams I root for, Penn State football and North Carolina basketball, watching them for their upcoming seasons in the fall, it's really going to be you need a program because Penn State's had a ton of roster turnover after firing Franklin and hiring Matt Campbell. And of course, so many of the guys that are going to be new are guys who played for Campbell at Iowa State.
Yep.
And then with North Carolina firing Hubert Davis and hiring the Nuggets former coach Michael Malone, they had a bunch of guys going to the portal. They had a couple guys go into the draft. So they're going to have almost a completely different roster this coming year. I have no idea what to expect from them because
They had a
obviously
couple
Caleb
players
Wilson,
that stayed though, didn't they?
obviously Caleb Wilson went into the NBA draft. He's going to be a top 5 pick. Henri Vasser is also going into the NBA draft. I kind of wish he wasn't, but you know, and they had a couple guys transfer. They had a couple guys stay. They had 2 5-star recruits, one of whom they broke ties with.
And the other one stayed.
Yeah, the other one's staying. The one that they broke ties with, I think it had something to do with him suffering an injury that he didn't tell them about.
Oh,
So
I didn't hear about that one.
yeah, supposedly, I haven't seen anything that confirmed that. So, but yeah, it's gonna be. But again, that's just my whole point. If there's gonna be coaching changes at these major schools, you're gonna see massive roster turnover because guys are gonna be like, I don't want to stay here now because I came to play for this guy. And like so many guys who transferred out of Penn State went to Virginia Tech, where James Franklin is now. So
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how Virginia Tech does next year now. This is going to be interesting.
the thing with Penn State is a lot of the guys they brought in are experienced. Like the guy who's going to be like their quarterback this year has played quite a bit at Iowa State and he's won quite a few games. Penn State doesn't have a very daunting schedule this coming year, so they could still be pretty decent.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be almost like an expansion team in football, where it's like you got to make all these guys that have never played together play together now. So
Yes, what we call transfer portal and NIL. Who's got
Yep.
the most money to grab these guys off the transfer portal?
yeah, I mean, obviously, it needs to be reined in a little bit. We've talked about this before, of course,
Yes.
but for right now, this is the system in which we have to operate, as it were.
Well, yeah, look at what happened to the Tennessee Lady Vols.
Oh my
Like
God, I
the
can't
whole
believe
team like left.
I
Like
cannot
13
believe
players
that.
gone.
That just baffled me. Like, yeah, they didn't have the season they wanted. They ended like on an 8-game losing streak. They still made the tournament and they lost in the tournament. But for all those players just to hightail it out of there, that's wow. I've never seen.
Could you imagine being
insane.
the coach and being like, where the hell did all my players go?
Did they change coaches?
No,
No.
No. Okay, so
no.
that's almost.
Yeah, they had
I
13
don't know
players
anything
enter
about
the
it, but
portal
that almost makes
right
you-
after their loss in the playoff.
That almost makes you wonder if like all of them just didn't want to play for the coach there now.
And they had a couple I know they had at least one 5-star recruit and a couple 4-stars. And they had somebody who I think was injured and whatnot, but it's yeah, like you
And I
have
think
to like
on
redo your
top of that, I
whole
think some of
roster.
their commits for the following year like decommitted
Yes,
too.
decommitted as
So
well.
so it wasn't even just that all the players entered the transfer portal. It was also like some of the women that were coming up from high school that had committed to the Lady Vols said, "Nope, I'm not coming there."
And I haven't heard anything
I was like,
negative about
"Damn."
I haven't heard anything negative about the coach either. So I was just kind of like taken back about like what the fuck? Like this is very odd.
And I looked up some of the headlines. They're starting to get people from the women from the transfer portal now coming and committing to, Tennessee, but that was crazy. I was like, damn.
You know what? It's kind of one of those things where like I hope she gets good players from the transfer portal, and then next year they go like 24-7 and be
just
like
dominate.
it'd be like, oh, you
See?
left us. See what we just did, bitches.
Especially if it's like a team that she goes against and like she's got like two of her former players on there and they dominate them by like 20.
Yeah.
Man, fuck you. Because I know. So I can I can hold a grudge a little bit. And if that was me as a college coach, granted, I understand it. The transfer portal exists. Things are going to happen. But if a whole team leaves and I know I did everything to make that team better and tried to, connect with them and did everything that I possibly could, and you guys left because you're just like, oh, we didn't have a good season, we want better, and I come back and I kick your ass on the next team that you're on, I'm gonna be a little happy about that. I'm gonna be like, yep, see, wasn't better on the other side,
I'm
was
not
it?
gonna lie. I would take some joy out of that as well. You know, she might go on like national television and be like, yeah, I still love those girls, blah blah blah, blah. Say all the right things, but deep down I'm like, yeah, fuck that shit.
you got your you got your cake, but you didn't get to eat it, did you? Now, sucker.
Like I was
You'd
worried
be like,
about
fuck your
Illinois.
couch.
What'd you say?
I said you'd be like, fuck your couch.
Yeah. I was worried
Another
about
one.
Illinois team losing a bunch of transfer portal kids because it's kind of happened the past couple years to me, I think for no reason, but it is what it is. But they only lost 3 players to the transfer portal, and all 3 of those kids were not relevant players. So
Mm,
we're retaining, I think, 5 of our top 9 scorers from last season.
yeah, with the
So we
transfer
have a
portal the
couple.
way it is, whether it's whether it's college, football, basketball, any sport, as a coach, it is going to become even more important, not just to have a winning program, but to really connect with your players. It is going to become even more important to connect with those players and make sure that they understand that they have a place there, that you care about them, you want to see them succeed on and off the court, like all those things that coaches have always talked about. And this is part of our program, this is a philosophy of our program, this is how I coach. You really have to step it up. Like, you're going to
Mhm.
have to step it up, or you will lose kids much easier now to the transfer portal than ever before.
Yeah. That's why I'm just glad like we were able to retain all the majority besides Keaton Wagler going to the draft and our seniors that graduated. We were able to keep 5 of our 9 top scorers that all came back. So, and then we added a good transfer portal recruit, and then we have a good freshman class coming in. So, I'm happy where Illinois will be going into next season. Just glad we just weren't hurt by that transfer portal. It's like every year now, it's like, oh, I gotta worry about the transfer portal on my college teams. Oh shit.
Well,
So
yeah, it's like how many will enter like right after the last game of the season, whatever like game that is for your
yeah,
team, because it happens like immediately for a lot of these kids. They're like, oh, we lost, we're done, okay, and I make a decision to leave.
yeah. There's definitely changes need to be made, but some of them are very hard in trying to figure out how to go about it. Just because of how spring semester starts, and which I think sometimes that's a bit of a cop out in regards to when I hear coaches and administrators say, "Whoa, we got spring season. We need to get them." Yeah, you can make exceptions. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to hear about that. I think sometimes they use that as a cop out, as an excuse to why they can't make some changes. But you know, I'm not the pro at all this, but still, that's my opinion in regards to it.
Yeah.
Make
Uh,
excuses.
all right. So you got hockey playoffs, you got NFL play, yeah, NFL playoffs, NBA playoffs going on. Flyers are up 3-1. Sixers are, what did you say the Sixers are, Pat?
They're down 2-1.
2-1. Not surprised. I was surprised that they won a game against the Celtics, but I'm still a true believer that that team will not be anything with Joel Embiid on it. I feel it's a better team without Joel Embiid because all he does is either get hurt or flop around on the ground like a fish. Um,
I mean, especially when the guy's has been injured more games than he's played in his career. That's
yes,
not a telling sign.
yes. I've been seeing, which has been very interesting, like why they're making such a big deal out of this. Um, and maybe people are making a big deal out of it, but it feels like that. I've been seeing a lot of Brock Lesnar against like this Hall of Fame wrestler and showing like this person had more matches in 1 year than Brock Lesnar had in his entire career. This person had more matches than Brock Lesnar in da 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 da. And
Oh
like,
yeah, someone had posted on social media like the list of matches Brock Lesnar had every year of his wrestling career, and it's quite interesting. there's like a 3 year span where he had like 50 plus matches, and then after that, it's like, yeah, he's lucky if he had like 1 year. I think he had three. One
Yeah,
year he had two.
the only time where he worked a full time schedule was in 2002 and 2003.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There was someone had pulled like the match history for his whole career. It was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any of them right now, but yeah, I was like, it's like I get it. Like his career, when you talk about, his how long he wrestled, how many matches he wrestled, he he got into wrestling as like not with the I don't think he ever expected to be a long-term wrestler. And you can see that by his career. Like that was not like his expectation was not to be a long-term wrestler. Like that's why he left to try out for the Minnesota Vikings.
well,
He
yeah, he
left
just
to the
kind of quickly
UFC.
realized he just kind of quickly realized that the grind of the WWE schedule wasn't for him. So
Yeah, and because it is a grind, like you're on the road all the time. You're wrestling multiple days a week, like especially when he first got in, because he was getting in during the end of the Attitude Era, and guys were still, and it still happens, but
I
I
have
feel
the
like
list.
there's a lot more downtime now in between wrestling, like days of wrestling, because they don't do the house shows like they used to anymore. Um, so
Les
there's not
Les
that grind.
Yeah, Lesnar had 443 matches.
Yes, that's what I saw. Yeah.
2000, he had 5 matches. He went 5-0. 2001, he had 51 matches. 2002, 141. 2003, 137. 2004, 18. 2005, 3. 2006, 4. 2007, 1. And then there's the gap, no 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then
that's when he was in
2000,
UFC.
yep. 2012, 2. He went 1-1. 2013, 3. 14, 4. 15, 8. 16, 11. 2017, 14, 18, 11. 19, 8. 2023, 21, 1. 22, 8. 23, 6. 25, nothing in 24. 25, 2, and 26, 2.
Right, and I feel when you said 2016, wasn't that when his title run? He had his title run as the Beast Incarnate, somewhere around
I
there.
can't even remember.
Yeah, I have to pull it up. I don't remember all that. In the last,
Because there was a point in time when he had his title run and he was showing up not weekly, but almost like a
every
monthly
other month.
basis. Yeah, he was showing up monthly, essentially around the time that every PLE was going on.
I feel like that was like, I would say 2016 to 2018, Pat, maybe, sort of, kind of.
He was.
Let me look.
He
Pull up here.
was. He was on the card.
He was Universal Champion from February 4th, 2017. I'm sorry, April 2nd, 2017 to August 19th, 2018. So that was 504 days.
Yeah, so from 2017 to 2018, he wrestled in 25 matches and he was 23-2.
Yeah. Well, okay, during that title reign that I just mentioned, he
Mhm.
beat Goldberg for the title at WrestleMania 33. He defended it in July of 2017 against Samoa Joe at Great Balls of Fire. I can't forgot that they called an event Great Balls of Fire.
Great bowls of fire. Da, 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 da,
He
da, 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 da. Okay.
he defended it at SummerSlam 2017, winning it in a fatal four way against Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. He defended it at No Mercy 2017 in September against Braun Strowman. He defended it at the 2018 Royal Rumble against Braun Strowman and Kane in a triple threat match. He defended it against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34. He defended it later in April of 2018 in a steel cage match against Roman Reigns at the Greatest Royal Rumble, which was in Saudi Arabia. And then he lost the title to Roman Reigns at SummerSlam 2018. So those were the only actual title defenses he had during that title reign.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
like
interesting.
so like he didn't defend it for 3 months after he won it initially, and then he didn't defend it for 4 months after he defeated Braun Strowman before he defeated Strowman and Kane again, and then he didn't defend it for nearly 4 months between he beating Roman Reigns in a cage match and then when he lost it to Roman Reigns. So yeah.
Is that
He
the
definitely
is
has
that
a
when we
winning
got?
record for his career, though.
Really? He does? I'm shocked.
Is that the Roman Reigns match where he jumped off the front end loader to start the match?
He's only had 3 years in his whole career where he had a losing record.
Okay.
That's insane.
Okay.
That's why he was the Beast incarnate. Nobody can beat the Beast.
I
The
mean,
Beast
yeah.
will feast.
2020, he was 1-2. 23, he was 2-4, and this year he was 0-2. Those were his 3 years where he didn't have a winning season. Well, if you want to count 2012, where he went 1-1, okay, 4 seasons, but that wasn't a losing record.
What do records mean, anyways? It's rigged.
I know. It's scripted. What does it matter?
It's not real. They're not real. They're not real.
We know what they
Or
do,
what was that?
man.
What was that Bruce Pritchard said? Like, Brett thinks he really won those titles. He didn't. He's given those titles.
I know, I know. The funny part with that. Oh, yes, yes.
So since I know Jeremy has to sign off here in a couple minutes, but real quick.
No.
So the I can't remember the last time they did it to this level, but the seemingly annual bloodletting has begun in the WWE.
Oh yeah, when they're letting go people.
I will
There
have
was
to
a
say,
lot of people let go this time.
yeah, I will have to say, out of all the people that they fired, the only people I'm really sad to see that they fired are Kyrie Sane and the Motor City Machine Guns. The
Yeah,
rest of them, sorry, don't really care. I mean, all the NXT people they cut, don't know who any of them are. The Wyatt Six, look, we knew that they were going to be running into a brick wall at some point, and to
yeah,
be honest, I think that time was about 6 months ago.
yeah.
So,
Agreed. It sucks
Alistair,
they all lost their job, but with that
yeah,
being,
yeah, I'm not happy that, of course, they're not employed anymore, but I'm just saying, I'm
they'll
looking for the
find
aspect
they'll
again.
find work elsewhere.
Right. I'm also looking for the aspect of, you want to bring people up from NXT, you got to clear the decks a little, unless you're going to send people back to
Oh,
NXT, which they never seem to want to do, which I think could help in some instances if they did that. But
oh
Oh,
my
like
God,
yeah.
Alistair Black is gone again. How about that? Big
And
Aleister
surprise.
Zelina
Black,
Vega.
I've never gotten Aleister Black at all.
So speaking of that, Zelina Vega was on her podcast, and she usually when they let somebody go, they get a phone call from Stanford, right? This time wasn't Stanford. She got a phone call from TKO. TKO let her know that she was being let go.
Yeah, so that's definitely fucked up. But it also shows you or reminds you, I guess, of hey, who's running the show?
Correct.
Um, so yeah, so there's that. Let's see. Alba Fire. I mean, I think she was in trouble from the moment her tag team partner got fired. It was decent that they were able to recycle her into something else, but then once Piper got hurt, I was like, this isn't going to last much longer for her.
I mean, she
Zoe
was
Stark,
good, but I think
yeah,
she was kind of stuck in no man's land.
yeah, Zoe Stark and Apollo Crews. I mean, it really sucks for Zoe because of that injury she suffered and everything,
I like
but
Zoe too.
but they never got over. They just didn't. Um, Santos Escobar, I think, kind of the same thing. He just never got over.
He was very good in NXT, but he he didn't have the same success on the main roster.
Yeah. So, but again, the Kyrie one just really surprises me because she was still in the middle of a storyline.
Yeah. Like that
With
wasn't that she was relevant.
yeah, with Io telling her stop letting Oscar bully you and Oscar bullying you. That was going to come to a head at some point. It's almost as if they basically said, "Well, we don't know what to do with her once this feud's over, so let's just nip it in the bud right now," which is so awful.
Yeah.
And with the Motor City Machine Guns, I mean, they're obviously pretty veteran guys, and I remember when they came in, they won the tag belts. I was like, oh, this is great, but then they didn't hold them that long, and it's just like they just don't care about tag team wrestling. That was the one thing I think a lot of people thought was going to change when Triple H took the reins, but it hasn't. Tag team wrestling is still such an afterthought.
Yeah, yeah, it
Indeed.
is. Unfortunately,
So it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously they're bringing up a ton of people from NXT already. You got Saul Ruka and Joe Hendry, and I mean you can even throw Oba and Javon and Trick into that category too.
yeah.
As far
Blake
as
Monroe is going to be calling up. Ricky
Blake Monroe's
Saints is
going to be
being
coming
called
up,
up.
Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, and I
Yep.
guess the Fatal Influence girl
Yes.
were
Yep.
confronting Rhea on SmackDown on Friday. So
And they got heat on SmackDown on Friday, which not kudos
because
to them
Rhea
for getting heat.
because Rhea's so popular. So
Yeah, but people
okay,
know who they are on NXT, which is good. They're bad guys anyway.
yeah. So okay, let's see how this goes.
Yep.
Yeah, we know it happens every year. I was wondering what the heck you were talking about the bloodletting, and then I had to rethink. I was like, oh, the people are getting
Yeah,
fired.
yeah. It's after WrestleMania. That's what we do. That's what they
I
do,
mean, this
man.
is the thing. It pretty much always used to happen like after WrestleMania that you'd see a lot of people get fired. I don't remember that they've done it like with it on that kind of like regular schedule the last couple of years. Maybe I just don't remember. But yeah, it was like because this was like all coming out like on Friday, like while SmackDown was going on. And
Yep.
some people were speculating if Tala Tonga was getting cut too, because he was notably not on SmackDown with the rest of the MFTs on Friday. But I haven't seen anything about him, so maybe
No,
he
I
was
haven't seen
sick
anything
or
about him
hurt or
either.
something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We'll see what they do now here with Roman against Jacob in a couple weeks.
Yes.
And
Backlash.
here was the thing, and I know our friend had told me the other day that he still wants Roman versus Seth. And to be honest with you, I don't want to
I
see that right now.
I've told him I don't. I think
That storyline's still there. They can do something down the road, but we don't. I just feel like in the last 2 years, we have the same group of guys all going in this vicious. They're all in this circle. We
mhm.
need to take some of them and put them in with fresh people. Like they need to fight. Like I understand a lot of people don't like Oba. I do. People don't like Gunther. I'm indifferent on Gunther. I see his potential and his talent, but those guys need to be facing some of these dudes that have the titles and putting them in programs. Let's you want to do Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes at Backlash, fine. But at the end of the day, once that's done, let's have Cody versus Gunther. Let's see how Jacob does against Roman. Do I think Jacob's going to win the title? No, but Jacob should be pushed to this at
Yeah.
this point.
Well,
And
yeah, you
then yeah,
gotta.
Oba's young. He just got brought up, but he's on a fast track
Yeah.
as
You
being
can't.
like on the rise, man. He is very over. So I understand that Roman said no part time. I'm going to be here all summer, but yet he wasn't on SmackDown Friday, even though he's not the SmackDown champion per se. But we bring the Usos out to continue talking for Roman. And like the other thing too was like he said he'll be here all summer. Okay, all summer. Summer goes up until Labor Day weekend. So where are you going to be in the fall time? You have another movie to shoot? You're going to drop the title? Like what are we doing?
So with me, with when you think about the other talent on the roster, is you have to give them an opportunity because what happens when Roman isn't there anymore? What happens when Seth can't go anymore? What happens with these guys that you have been leaning on so hard can't go anymore? And now it's the 11th hour, and oh, who do we got to take their place? Who's going to be that person? You have to give them the opportunity now to see what they can do as far as winning the crowd over, whether it's good guy, bad guy. You have to give them that opportunity. Jacob Fatu is very hot right now. Give him the opportunity to be in a main event match and see if him and Roman can carry a main event match. If it's a yes, even if he doesn't win, at least you know he has that ability to do that.
Yep.
Like, so you have to give guys an opportunity. If you don't, you're going to get screwed in the end when it comes down to the 11th hour and they say, oh my God, this guy's retiring, or oh shit, he got injured and he was our main event guy. And now he's going to be out for a year with an injury. Like,
Yeah.
You don't want to screw yourself.
And no
And
offense to
WWE's
Seth,
done it a couple times.
and no offense to Seth, for as much as I like Seth, he's been kind of getting injury prone the last couple years too.
All right, and he's got a back problem that he's kind of has been
Ron
not
Breaker's another one.
baby, but
He's talented as well.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, too, like, see, Seth versus Roman right now just doesn't really interest me.
No, it doesn't.
we've seen it a couple times now already.
You've seen it a couple times in a couple different ways, so I don't see what the appeal to them is at the moment. I mean, I could change my opinion on that in a few months, depending upon where they go with their characters. But clearly, Seth has shit that he's got to do with Braun Breaker right now, and I think that's maybe also the reason why AJ wants to see Seth versus Roman because he hates Braun Breaker.
Correct.
So,
But at the same point,
I'm
because
indifferent
he hates
towards
Braun
him.
Breaker, he doesn't want to see Seth against Braun Breaker.
I'm
But then you
indifferent.
have to do
I'm
that. So,
like Jacob Fatu. He won. I don't want to say he won me over, but he grew on me, and I like what I get to see from him. Braun Breaker, I just I don't know. There's something missing from him that I don't know what it is. Like I can't put my finger on what is missing from him. And maybe it's because he was pushed so quick, so hard. Because Seth got injured, so then he took over as being the face of the Vision, and maybe that's
Seth
what it is.
getting
Like,
injured does change the dynamic of like the Vision, how Braun's push was, and then Braun gets hurt, Bronson Reed gets hurt, and then you have Heyman and those two
lackeys, the lackeys.
I've always liked Austin Theory too. So it's just like his road in WWE has been so all over the place. It's just hard for me to buy into him and Logan Paul as the tag champs and the Vision. It's just, yeah.
It was funny though when Logan Paul. I'm sick and tired of these YouTube guys coming in here and trying to pretend that they can that they can do what we do. I'm like,
well, yeah,
really? That's where we're going right now.
I mean, but again, that was pretty obvious as to what.
Yeah, he was pretty obviously taking a shot at himself, but I was just like, it was funny as well as like, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah. They
But
need
it
to
was
like
trying to get heat with, I don't know. It was a goofy way to get heat.
just trying to get heat in general. But they do need to go in a different direction. Like Trick has the title. Trick's really good. He's over. Like they need to put him. He's still feuding with Sami Zayn. I saw that coming a mile away, Mr. Gingerbread Man. But whatever. I had a
Can't
feeling
catch me,
Sammy
I'm as
was in
fast
the
as I
fucking
can.
gingerbread man costume because I knew that feud's not done yet. But that'll probably end at Backlash. And you know, Carmelo Hayes is another one they need to really start pushing a little bit more because he's very talented. Put him in a program with Trick. They were used to be tag champions and whatnot, and they had a program in NXT that only the NXT faithful know about. So try that on the main roster and see where it goes.
See, I think that they also really need to mix up the rosters at this point.
Yes.
I don't think I haven't heard anything about them doing that, but it really feels like. So I mean, obviously Rhea's transferring over to SmackDown now because she won that belt and everything, but I feel like the rosters could use a refresh, especially because of the fact that they just did cut so many people on SmackDown.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like most everybody who was cut was from SmackDown, so.
So we'll see what they
All
do.
right.
I just think it's time for them to. Roman needs to have new people to work with. Seth needs to finish the story with Braun Breaker. Punk needs to have a new story with somebody else, and Cody needs to finish the story with Orton and move on to somebody new. Like they need to really start pushing with new programs and seeing where. I mean, they already laid the breadcrumbs for Cody versus Punk at some point, so we're gonna get that match. When, who the hell knows? But it is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I just
All right.
real quick before you have to go, Jeremy. I just saw
Yes.
this on my Facebook feed because I think it's a really funny joke. Filling a big need, Patriots draft marriage counselor in second round.
Nice.
Hey, don't you also
Fantastic.
love how these things still work with the male-female dynamic? Female reporter loses her job. Male head coach doesn't attend day 3 of the draft.
She shouldn't have lost her job to begin with. I think it's a load of bullshit, but whatever.
I mean, it's She should have just been assigned a different beat, I guess, maybe, but it's what a screwed up situation. So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to throw that joke in there though. So
All right, Jeremy, leave it to the dynamic duo to finish today. We're good. We're good. Go take care of your business.
yeah, you
Give you
and
that.
I'd really love to hear your thoughts once you finish episode 4 of the Hogan documentary.
Yes, I will definitely drop my thoughts.
Okay.
All right. Peace out, gentlemen.
See ya.
Toodles. Oh,
Oh, thank
finally,
God
it's
he's
just us.
gone.
Just us. Oh, glorious. No, I'm only kidding, Jeremy. Oh, yes, yes.
So hey, there was maybe an assassination attempt last night.
Yeah, man, I saw, yeah, I saw that pop up my phone news feed as I was watching hockey.
Okay, all I'm going to say about that is I really don't know what to believe about shit like this anymore. So
I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, we're not going to
Yeah.
talk about that any more than just that.
Yeah. It's I don't know what to say. Is what I
Yeah.
don't want to say it is what it is. It's just it's very trying time.
It's the kind of situation where I fully understand why conspiracy theories come about because
Oh, of course.
he very famously never attended this event at any time during either of his presidencies. And then all of a sudden, the one time that he does go, somebody's able to fire shots inside the hotel. So that's the thing too. I haven't heard anything saying about the shots were fired at him or at anybody in particular. So it's the kind of thing where it's like there people are going to ask a shit ton of questions as they should, and I don't know that we're going to get any real
Hmm.
answers. So
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get all the truths in regards to it,
yeah, so
unfortunately.
that's a problem, of course. But yeah. So
Yep.
anyway,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
so what else is going on?
You know what? I don't know what else is going on. Movie season. I'm
Yes, technically, okay, I don't know if they still consider it as such because so much has changed these days anymore, but technically, the first weekend in May was the beginning of the summer movie season once
yep.
upon a time. It doesn't quite feel like that. Probably, I guess, since the pandemic, but maybe even before that, because, like, I want to say, I know Endgame because I got a Facebook memory about it today. But I think Doomsday 2 came out like the last weekend in April as opposed to the first weekend in May back in 2018 and 2019. So, it's like what used to be like the traditional summer movie season, which was more or less May through August, isn't really the thing anymore. But we do have an interesting slate of movies coming out this summer.
Yes.
So,
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. What comes out? I have a list here. Let's see.
yeah, I'm
So
trying to
May
pull up the
1st.
list.
Let's just say May 1st.
Yeah.
What's the biggest movie coming out May 1st?
The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yep, that's what I see.
Which, okay, we're off to a bad start.
I mean, Animal Farm. Okay. Family movie.
Oh,
Deep
that's the thing.
Water.
The
That's a
the thought of
thriller.
the thought of Animal Farm being a family film is kind of funny, but with the preview I saw made me think it's definitely more family movie-ish than anything. So, but I just want to say this real quick about The Devil Wears Prada too. So it's been like 20 years since the first one came out, right?
Hmm.
Who would have thought 20 years ago that Emily Blunt would now be a bigger star than Anne Hathaway?
I know. That's interesting.
Because I think I would not accept um the thought that Anne Hathaway is a bigger star than Emily Blunt right now. I think Emily Blunt has become a bigger star. So I know Anne Hathaway has her Oscar, and that's to her credit, but
Yep.
it just feels like Emily Blunt's become a bigger star. So
I would agree with that
yeah,
for
so
sure.
so yeah, so May 1st, Devil Wears Prada 2, Animal Farm. There's also this deep water movie, which looks like one of the airport movies meets Jaws.
Yeah, Deep Water. Yeah, thriller, and then Hokum. Supernatural. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's May
May
1st.
May is like the only thing that's really relevant as far as movies in May is Devil Wears Prada 2, Mortal Kombat 2 on May 8th, and then The Mandalorian Grogu on May 22nd.
Yes.
Because we're doing what? A Shrek 25th anniversary on the 15th, Top Gun 40th anniversary on the 13th, where they're showing both movies back to back
Yeah.
for like a week or two or something like that.
Yeah. So on May 8th, in addition to Mortal Kombat 2, there's this movie, The Sheep Detectives, which is, it's I don't know if it would be considered, like a family movie, but it's about like a bunch of like, talking sheep, like CGI,
Yes, all that.
whose shepherd, who's played by Hugh Jackman, gets murdered, and then they try to figure out how.
Yes. We have Punisher: The
Um,
Last Kill, but that's not movie. That's just Disney Plus. I'm
yeah.
not worried about
And,
that shit.
and the reason why they're so interested in solving the murder of their shepherd is because he would always read like murder mysteries to them. So it looks kind of amusing. So I'm probably going to go see that.
Yeah,
There's
that
a
is an
Bill
interesting
there's a
movie.
Billie Eilish concert movie also coming out on May 8th. So
Yeah,
okay.
whatever.
On May 15th, we've got a Guy Ritchie action movie, In the Gray, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Henry Cavill, which the trailers looked like it could be okay, but I've already heard a lot of negative things about it, which is disappointing considering the stars and the director. It seems like Guy Ritchie hasn't done anything challenging for a while.
Yeah, that kind of caught my eye with the people they had in it. That I was curious for that one.
Yeah, there's also a movie called Is God Is.
Yeah, no, thank you.
That's a yeah, it's a movie with it's an African American movie. It looks like twin sisters with disfiguring burn scars are ordered by their bedridden mother to kill their abusive father who caused their scars. Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I saw a trailer for that. Interesting
I have
concept.
not
It's
seen a
different.
trailer for that, so yeah, okay. And then a romance horror film called Obsession, which stars people I do not recognize. The only reason I even clicked on that is because it's also listed under like wide releases. And then on May 22nd, like we said, Mandalorian and Grogu. Um, okay, I saw this trailer yesterday. We walked into it because we were running a couple minutes late yesterday when the Michael Jackson movie started. A movie called I Love Boosters, which it's made by the people who made Sorry to Bother You, which was a really interesting movie. Um, it's like I think it's like a couple of like African American women trying to like take back like their like beauty products kind of thing. Like as far as Kiki Palmer and Naomi Aki, Lakeith Stanfield, Demi Moore.
Oh, okay.
It looked like one I might like check out when it hits streaming. It's not one I'm
That's
gonna go see in
interesting.
theaters. And then also on May 22nd, a horror movie called Passenger, which again stars people I don't recognize. So then on May 29th, we've got The Breadwinner, which is a family comedy starring Nate Bargatze or Bargatze. I'm not actually sure how you pronounce his last name.
Neither am I.
Yeah. It looks like it's a 2020s version of Mr. Mom in a way.
Uh,
Yeah.
I see that movie Pressure, a true story.
Yeah, see that would be one that my dad's interested in because it's about D-Day. It's like um Brendan Fraser is Eisenhower. That's an interesting casting, but
Yes.
yeah, it has to do with like when they were trying to pull the trigger on the D-Day invasion because there was weather issues and all kinds of other things.
Mm.
There's also a sci-fi horror movie called Backrooms. Okay. Don't know what that's about. I'm seeing a picture of an actress here who looks like the girl from Andor, but it's not. At least I don't think it is. Um, and yeah. Then when we hit June, on June 5th, we've got Masters of the Universe, which obviously I want to see.
Yep.
The new Scary Movie.
Blah.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer got a lot of people upset. And I really think people need to just calm down about a trailer. So,
Yes.
and this movie I saw a trailer for yesterday called Power Ballad, which stars Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas. It's from the guy who did that movie, who's done the movies Once, Begin Again, and Sing Street. So it's like a musical drama.
Okay.
Yeah. June 12th, we got Spielberg's Disclosure Day, which is about aliens. The trailers look really intriguing to me. It's really kind of gives me like an old school Spielberg feel in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does.
You know, trying to almost like give you that sense of like wonder again that like Close Encounters and E.T. gave you back in the day, kind of thing. Um, a martial arts movie called The Furious
Hmm.
and a disaster comedy from RuPaul called Stop That Train.
Limited release.
Okay, then. June 19th, we got Toy Story 5, which is
Indeed.
obviously going to be a big one.
Yep. The
Now,
Death of Robin
I,
Hood.
I haven't seen this trailer yet, but I might be, you might need to look this out. The Death of Robin Hood,
Yeah, it's a
starring Hugh Jackman as an old Robin Hood, and also features Jodie Comer and Bill Skarsgård. So I might have to check that one out just to see what the trailer looks like and everything. And a, for lack of a better term, lesbian romance called Girls Like Girls. Okay. Again, don't recognize the names really of anybody who's in it, so
hold on a second.
People speak of Robin Hood, tell his stories. They're all lies. Lies that I told long ago.
I played day one.
So that fools would follow me into the dark. We were monsters. This world cares only about blood. And blood is all that we're given in return. I am the outlaw, Robin Hood.
Almost looks a bit psychological horror-y.
Yes, yes, it does.
So, I mean, they they tried to do a new Robin Hood movie a few years ago, that one with Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx, which was like it was like the steampunk Robin Hood, which
Yeah, it was decent.
it was okay. It was entertaining enough and everything.
Yeah.
And let's think about it. You know, Robin Hood is a story that's been told so many times. So this is definitely a different take because again, this is older Robin Hood.
Yeah, definitely so.
And I guess they're leaning into a concept that he's not so heroic. You know?
Yes.
So all right, June 26th, we've got the Supergirl movie,
Yes. Big hopes for that one.
a new Jackass movie, Best and Last.
Don't really care.
Johnny, don't make promises you know you're not going to keep.
I'll wait for that shit to come on Paramount Plus.
Yeah. And also says opening wide a movie called Lucky Strike, which again my dad might be interested in because it says the premise is an injured American soldier is trapped behind German lines during the Battle of the Bulge. So, you know, World War II. It's directed by a guy named Rod Lurie, who like 25 years ago did The Contender which
Okay.
would star Jeff Bridges, Gary Oldman, and Joan Allen, about Jeff Bridges as the president elevating Joan Allen to be the vice president after the sitting vice president died, and Gary Oldman's like the congressman who like vehemently opposes it. Which was I think Joan Allen got nominated for an Oscar for it, but like I don't think that guy's done a whole lot since then. Oh, he also did The Last Castle with Robert Redford and James Gandolfini,
Okay.
which I've still never watched, but it looks like he's not done a whole lot since then. He's done more TV, it looks like. So that's June. July 1st, which is a Wednesday, we've got Minions and Monsters.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that. That makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
I have
Those
yeah,
guys just
I
make me
saw
laugh.
I think we saw the trailer for that when I went and saw Hoppers a few weeks ago, and I have to admit the trailer made me laugh. I've not watched any of the Minions movies, but that trailer did make me laugh. I will freely admit it. So
Yes.
I could conceivably check it out at some point. Also on July 3rd, then,
Young
hey,
Washington.
just in time for the 250th anniversary of America and everything, Young Washington.
Yeah.
It just says is about a young George Washington. This looks like it's going to be pre-revolution from the looks of it.
Okay.
Obviously, it was called Young Washington. Well, when I'm seeing like the list of people who are in there, like with the characters that they're playing, it's like going to be partially during the French and Indian Wars, which he served in, of course. So, because I see that like Andy Serkis, it says is playing Edward Braddock. That was like the British general who he was attached to, who was killed in a battle.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Ben Kingsley and Kelsey Grammer are also in it. So is Mary Louise Parker. So again, might be what my dad would be interested in. All these
Yep.
historical movies all of a sudden here. It's almost as if like we're
I know.
celebrating a big anniversary of this country or
Of
something.
something going on this year. What could it be?
And how do you celebrate the anniversary of a country? You stage a UFC fight on the White House lawn, of course.
All right. Let's see. July 10th.
July 10th is the live action Moana, which
Why did we do live action Moana after Moana 2?
right. Why have we done this so soon after both of these movies? And why did we not make Dwayne wear a fat suit?
Of course, he's not going to wear a fat suit.
I think I said this on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I said, but the wig that he's wearing in this movie, it makes him simultaneously look 25 and 65.
It does.
But based on that trailer, I decided I'm skipping that one in theaters. I'll wait for Disney Plus for
It
that.
seems like the animated series to a T, the animated one to a T.
Right, and that's just it. Like, so with all these live action adaptations that they've been doing over the last 10 to 15 years or so, the Cinderella one that came out a while ago with Lily James,
I did not watch that yet.
I watched that years ago. Wasn't bad. Wasn't a direct adaptation of the cartoon. I didn't watch the Snow White one, which was controversial because of Rachel Zegler's comments. Beauty and the Beast made so much money. Wasn't incredibly different from the cartoon. Dumbo was pretty different from the cartoon, and it frankly had to be because of the problematic elements of the original cartoon. You know, like the crows, for example.
Yeah.
Jungle Book was more or less the cartoon.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Lion King was completely the cartoon.
Yep, I saw that one too. Yeah, definitely.
I think after I saw that, I think I even posted on Facebook. If you've seen The Lion King 1994, then you've seen The Lion King 2019 or whatever
Yeah.
it was. The Aladdin one at least had some differences.
I saw that one too. That was pretty decent.
I actually enjoyed that one too. Will Smith was good as the genie, and
Yeah.
they removed some more elements. I mean, obviously they weren't. Supposedly Jasmine's supposed to be 14 in the cartoon. I don't know too many 14-year-olds that look like that.
Yeah, no.
So they obviously like removed elements of that. They gave Jafar a little bit more of a character too. He wasn't like he was evil, but he wasn't like mustache twirling evil. Like, you know, he
Yeah.
had like his reasons and shit. So that one was fine. I'm not sure which ones I'm forgetting at this point. Oh, I never watched the Pinocchio one that they did where Tom Hanks played Geppetto.
Neither did I.
Um, I feel like I still haven't watched The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one yet
You know,
either.
with the African American actress playing Ariel. Oh my God, how can the Little Mermaid be black?
Who cares?
The only people who care are racists.
Pretty much.
Um, I feel like I'm still forgetting something else, but I can't really think of what. So, okay. But yeah, so this really seems completely unnecessary because, again, like I said, it hasn't been that long since the animated one, and it's definitely not been long since Moana 2. So,
Yeah.
which I didn't really like that much. Moana
I
2
didn't
was
watch
kind of,
Moana 2 yet.
Moana 2 was very like, so. So anyway, so that's on July 10th, as is a new Evil Dead movie
Nah,
called
fine.
called Evil Dead Burn.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that. That's decent.
Yeah.
Not bad.
July 17th, The Odyssey.
Interested in that one.
My dad's even already like saying, "Should we go see that in IMAX?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fine. You got to come out here though."
Yeah.
Because the IMAX theater is by me. There isn't one by you. So, also coming out that day is a movie directed, written, and starring directed by, written by, and starring Jonah Hill called Cut Off. It says follows two rich siblings who are cut off from their parents. In addition to Jonah Hill, it also features Kristen Wiig, Nathan Lane, Bette Midler, Chelsea Peretti. So that seems like obviously a comedy.
Yeah, it's a comedy. I didn't see no trailers for that yet.
I haven't, yeah, well, that's the thing. When I click on it on the page I'm on, which is firstshowing.net, usually when you click on it, it takes you to an article. But if they don't have an article about it, which usually says, like, here's the first trailer for it, it's taking me to the IMDb page for that one. So there's probably no trailer for it yet. July 24th, and this is kind of interesting, there are no major releases.
Nope.
Now, that's probably for two reasons. One, because they expect Moana and the Odyssey to be dominating the box office. And two, because on July 31st, Spider Man Brand New Day.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Looking forward to that.
Now, in August, which is traditionally like a dumping month,
Which
uh,
it seems like. Yep.
August is usually like a month where they're like, okay, we released all the big movies in May, June, July. Now we're just kind of like, putting stuff that we don't have a better time to release them, and we're getting ready for you in the past, again, it's not so much this way anymore, but the more serious fall movie season. But anyway, I miss those days so much. Damn it, where's my subscription to Entertainment Weekly when I need it?
Yeah.
August
Right.
7th, Super Troopers 3.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for it, so it looks like the plot is that Farva is getting married to Thorny's sister.
Yep. And he wants to stop the wedding.
I did not see that coming.
Nope.
um, Fall 2, which is interesting because I've still never seen the original Fall,
Neither have I.
but I'm also trying to, in my mind, contemplate how you could make a sequel to that premise.
And we will find out.
Yeah. A movie called Ice Cream Man, which is an Eli Roth horror movie. So lovely. Now we're going to make kids beware of the Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, I know.
And something called Once Upon a Time in Cinema.
Eh,
A beleaguered cinema owner's worst Friday night becomes his crowning moment of glory when a packed show descends into chaos and unites the community. Told in real time during the movie playing, which is the Richard Gere starring Breathless, which was a remake. So this would be set in like around 1980, I think.
okay.
I don't recognize anybody in the cast, but that might be one to check out for streaming because that seems like a sinister kind of movie.
Yeah. I'm excited for August 14th. I want to see Paw Patrol, the Dino movie.
I was gonna say August 14th. I see we got Paw Patrol 3. We also have, well, it took me straight to the trailer on YouTube, not to an article and not to IMDb. Something called The Brink of War.
I'm interested in the end of Oak Street. I saw that trailer for that one.
So what the hell is The Brink of War? Oh, it's an Angel Studios release. See, I don't like Angel Studios on principle, but it seems like they're branching out into.
J.K. Simmons, Jared Harris, Jeff Daniels, Michael Russell Gunn. President Reagan races against time to salvage a deal with Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev that could dismantle nuclear arsenals or ignite disaster. With pressure
Oh,
mounting on
nice.
all sides, every word spoken brings the world closer to peace or destruction.
Set during the Reykjavik summit of 1986, which I'm not completely familiar with. It was a summit between Reagan and Gorbachev in Reykjavik on October 11th and 12th, 1986. The talks collapsed at the last minute, but the progress that had been achieved eventually resulted in the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty between the United States and the Soviet Union. Jeff Daniels plays Reagan, Jared Harris plays Gorbachev, J.K. Simmons plays George Shultz, who was, I want to say, Secretary of State.
Yeah, here we go.
We face an enemy that is ever growing. We need to protect the American people.
President Reagan, you got us here, sir. You got the Russians to the table. Gorbachev came to play. But if we fail here, there will be war.
Of all the places on Earth you could pick for a meeting about the fate of the human race, you picked a house in Iceland?
Perfect for security.
Good to see you, Mr. President. You're early. Always looking for the advantage.
I never imagined I'd see the controls for 70,000 nuclear weapons in the same room.
Here we are, the two of us, deciding whether there will be peace or war in the world.
We have tens of thousands of nuclear warheads all pointed at each other.
Why don't we just get rid of all of them? Every single nuclear weapon on Earth gone.
Why didn't you?
This is a fantasy. You have come in here with a fantasy.
I know how lonely the job feels. Being responsible for millions of people.
The Russians will not listen unless we are strong.
You have a history of suspicion of us.
He is scanning all our communications.
How do you expect my people to trust you?
The United States will remain strong. We can strike you first with impunity.
We will strike as well.
The arrogance of the Americans. We are a strong people. And we have learned that strength is how you win a war.
We're not trying to win a war. We're trying to end one.
I mean, definitely looks interesting. Again, I have issues with Angel Studios in a lot of ways. They released that Sound of Freedom movie, that anti-trafficking movie, which was really just a propaganda piece for this one particular group that doesn't really do what they say they do, and it's Sergeant Caviezel who's gone completely fucking crazy.
Yeah, I get it.
So I'm slightly suspicious of that, especially with a movie that looks like it could be trying to deify Reagan. I'm not a fan of Reagan, as you might expect from comments I've made. But even so, that still looks like it could be a very interesting movie. So
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
very interesting. I will say that.
yeah, now you mentioned the end of Oak Street. So it says formerly known as Flowervale Street. The plot is being kept under wraps, but it's actually about dinosaurs appearing when the street mysteriously moves.
Yes.
A family in the 80s start to notice bizarre happenings in their neighborhood after a mysterious cosmic event rips Oak Street from suburbia and transports the neighborhood to someplace unknown. The Platt family soon discovers their existence depends on them sticking together as they navigate their new surroundings. Starring Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor. Okay, that sounds intriguing, actually.
Have you seen the trailer for that yet?
No. Are you going to pull that up too?
Yeah, I saw it at the movies when I went to go see Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna
there
say-
is a trailer for it. Where let's see.
Because I was gonna say I have not seen that trailer. That's the problem. It seems like so many times I go see a couple movies every month, right? It feels like I see the same 5 trailers for like a month, and then like the next month it's like 5 different trailers, but I see those same 5 trailers all throughout that. It's like it's very strange sometimes. The only time I ever get any deviation is if I go see like a family oriented movie. Then I'll see like only family trailers.
Well, it's not on this website. Let's see. And my other half is calling me right now. Hold, please. All right. And let's see. Here's trailer for The End of Oak Street. I found it.
Are we recording again?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Sorry. You're not sharing, so I can't see this. I'm not seeing this if you're playing this trailer. I'm not sure if you're listening to me.
I couldn't hear you.
I said I'm not seeing this if you're trying to play the trailer.
Oh. I forgot the reshare. Stupid me. Let's start over. Dun dun dun.
I'm not seeing this guy.
Technical difficulties by moi. It happens. All right, let's start over so Patrick can see. Okay.
You says technical difficulties. I say incompetence.
Forgetfulness.
What's happening to us? I think our house. Our neighborhood. Our whole street. Has moved.
How the hell is that even possible? Oh my God, run!
Did neighbors just get eaten?
Interesting, eh?
Very interesting looking, yes.
It yeah, like it's dinosaurs, but that's different. And the fact of the matter is, like, when they're driving through and they're the only family that got transported with their neighborhood, where did all the other residents go to?
Yeah, that was what I was gonna ask. I mean, yeah, like what happened to all the other people?
And you were transported back in time to dinosaur world.
Gotta get back in time.
So yeah, that's it. That one's interesting for me. I think the only it looks like we have a cliffhanger remake on August 28th, but let's see. We have Coyote versus Acme.
Well, we skipped
trailer
August
for that.
20. We skipped August 21st.
Oh fuck, August 21st. There's nothing on there a lot. No.
Yeah, there's another Insidious movie. There's a Jason Statham conspiracy thriller called Mutiny.
Yeah.
There's
His movies,
something called-
unfortunately, are all the same anymore, so nothing really appeals to me with his movies. I'll wait for that shit to come on streaming.
There's a female comedy called Spa Weekend, which stars Anna Faris, Isla Fisher, and Leslie Mann.
That looks interesting.
And something called The Rivals of Amziah King, which stars Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. That's a crime one, I think.
And then, yes, August 28th, there is some, like you said, a cliffhanger remake, which stars Pierce Brosnan and Lily James. The Coyote versus Acme movie, which I don't know if you saw the trailer for that, but the trailer was kind of making reference to the movie's tortured, shall we say, production and release history.
Yes. It made me laugh.
Yeah. So, and then we've also got The Dog Stars, which is a Ridley Scott directed post-apocalyptic thriller starring Jacob Elordi, Josh Brolin, Margaret Qualley, Guy Pearce, Benedict Wong, and Allison Janney. So that sounds interesting. It's based on a book.
Okay.
Sparse survivors in the aftermath of a catastrophic pandemic traverse a post-apocalyptic landscape to find the origin of a mysterious radio transmission, wanting more from their lives. So yeah, like I said, those are the people who star in it. I mean, Ridley Scott, pretty decent cast, that would have my interest definitely. And then a movie called Finding Emily, which it says is a British romantic comedy starring the girl who played Ryan Gosling's daughter in The Nice Guys.
Oh, okay.
I, I'm not sure if it's. Oh, she was also in the Spider-Man movies.
Oh, okay.
I never know if it's pronounced Angery or Angery.
Probably
Her first
Andrew.
name. It's spelled a little. Okay, I'm gonna say weirdly. Angoourie. She's literally the only person I've ever known and to ever have that name. So
Yeah, same here.
that's takes us through the end of August. So I mean, I want to say there's more coming. I feel like there's more coming out this year that I have an interest in than was last year.
Oh, yeah, yeah, same here. I
Because I feel
agree.
like
Same
last
for
year
me.
was there. I feel like last year wasn't a lot that I was actually really all that interested in.
Agreed. Yeah,
So
last year was kind of a down year for me as well in regards to movies in general.
yeah, like okay, let me pull up my movie scene by year list real quick and go to 2025. So Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, The Phoenician Scheme, which was the Wes Anderson movie, um, Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, Fantastic Four: First Steps, The Naked Gun. That might have been the only movies that came out in the summer last year that I went and saw in theaters. So think about that. That's like, what was that, like six, seven? That's a very low
Yeah.
number for somebody like me.
Yeah, that is kind of low.
Oh, wait, no, I lied. Okay, I also see Honey Don't, Caught Stealing, and The Roses. Those were all like August releases that I went and saw. Caught Stealing was a lot better than its box office because like not many people went to see that, but I thought that was a really good movie. It was the Darren Aronofsky directed crime thriller that starred Austin Butler.
Oh, okay, okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Now there were other movies that I think came out in the summer that I saw like when they hit streaming and everything. But like like those were the only ones that I really went and saw in theaters. So let me just Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible, Phoenician Scheme, Jurassic World, Superman, Fantastic Four, Naked Gun, and then the other three. So that was only 10. I mean, you might say, well, that's still a lot. I'm like, yeah, it used to be like in the summer movie release season, there was like one thing every week coming out that I really wanted to see that I'm like, I have to go see that in theaters.
Yeah,
So again, I'll always say the pandemic changed so much. Now, of course, unfortunately, these mergers are gonna
change a lot too.
probably depress the number of wide releases that are out there in theaters too. Um, Warner Brothers board officially approved the Paramount takeover. Now, of course, it's going to face the regulatory scrutiny, but I don't really know how much scrutiny that's really going to be, being who's in charge of this shit right now. And even if somebody tried to raise any real concerns or everything, Ellison would probably just buy them off. So
Yeah, see how that goes. It's going to go through. I don't see anything really holding it back.
I can't see. I see. This is the thing. In all seriousness, I mean, there's so many issues. But if I was a Democratic candidate for president in 2 years, one of the things that I would definitely campaign on would be to break up some of these companies. Whether it's something like what Paramount and Warner Brothers are trying to do right now, whether it's like some of the cable companies, but it's definitely some of the tech companies. I would seriously be campaigning on let's get back to going after like antitrust shit and everything. But Problem is, I don't really know if that's really doable with the way like the Supreme Court tilts right now and every other damn thing. But I would still campaign on it, saying, "Hey, yeah, I want to go after these businesses."
Yeah, some of it's a
I,
little bit too much with these mergers and
my dad worked for AT&T when they got broken up by the government, and that was in the 80s when Reagan was in office.
yeah. There's one thing I'm debating if I want to go do it, but like in September, they're re-releasing Endgame.
Yes, I was going to bring this up. Did you hear that they are going to release it with new footage?
Correct. And that's what I'm curious about. Like, do I want to see it? Because I'm kind of like, it's new footage and there's supposed to be end credit scenes, new end credit scenes because, we really didn't have that in that one per se, besides a little get together at the end where they did the little thing with Tony's memorial and the little floating down the, river thing and all that stuff. And the little scene afterwards with, I think, Bucky and whoever else, I forget.
Yeah.
But, you know, um, yeah, I'm just I think I might, to be honest with you, I think I might do it. I think I might go in there and see what this extra footage is and kind of see what else they throw in there.
I'm going to need to know what the new footage is before I spend money to go see something I can pull up anytime because I have digital copy and everything, and it's also pretty sure it's on Disney Plus. So
Yeah, it is.
I'm really gonna need to know what exactly the footage is before I go spend money to see something. Again, like I said, I can watch it anytime. Yeah, and it's like, but you went and saw the anniversary screening of Return of the Jedi a couple years ago. So yeah, that's Star Wars. Shut up.
Yeah. It's I think I'm gonna do it. I'm curious um in regards to what they are going to do. Because it's like when you read it, it says it takes place right after Endgame. So I feel like there's going to be a time jump in Doomsday. Like I feel like
Well,
we're
I
going
mean,
to have
there
whatever
has to
happens
be
after Endgame that maybe shows us how Doom becomes Doom, and then we're going to have a time jump to
well, see, that's the
what
thing.
we see now.
I don't see how Doomsday can be right after Endgame, considering we've had all this other stuff come out in the last couple of years,
I
which is
know.
all post Endgame. I mean, Thunderbolts, Captain America: Brave New World, um, the
But it's
the,
doable,
the last two Spider-Man movies. I
but
mean,
it's
those.
doable because he's on another Earth. So we're gonna see what
Well,
happens to
yeah.
that Earth after Endgame while
Well,
all the other shit's going on the main Earth.
that's the thing. Again, it's like I can't remember how they really positioned it in Deadpool and Wolverine, but see, this is my problem always with multiverse shit. It gets so confusing so fast, and it's hard to keep track of what's what and who's what.
And the other thing too was like when you try to adopt that in from the comics are always changing canon sometimes of how shit works or rewriting or wrecking stuff. So like the movies, they're gonna have to take some aspect of that, but they have to also be careful. We already did the Kang stuff, so are
Yeah,
we gonna talk about Kang and Doomsday, or are we not gonna do anything with Kang? I'm curious. But if they don't
well,
do anything, it is what it is. We all
and
know.
the other thing again too is that the post credits and Thunderbolts, we saw them viewing the Fantastic Four ship appearing, and so again, here's who's in the cast for Doomsday. Robert Downey is Doctor Doom. Chris Evans is back as Steve Rogers. Chris Hemsworth is back as Thor. The Fantastic Four group, from the Fantastic Four movies, all in it. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, Captain America, Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, Wyatt Russell as John Walker, U.S. Agent, Simu Liu is back as Shang-Chi, Channing Tatum is appearing as Gambit again.
Yep.
And then we're getting Ian McKellen as Magneto, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, James Marsden as Cyclops, Patrick Stewart as Professor X, Sebastian Stan as Bucky, David Harbour as Red Guardian, Letitia Wright as Shuri, Black Panther, Lewis Pullman as Bob Reynolds, Sentry, Kelsey Grammer as Beast, Danny Ramirez as Falcon, Winston Duke as M'Baku, Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, Hannah John Kamen as Ghost, Rebecca Romaine as Mystique. Namor is back. So yeah.
Kind of wonder too if they're waiting to drop the trailer, the official trailer for this movie for in two spots, either San Diego Comic-Con or because
They're gonna wait.
Marvel,
They're gonna wait till Spider-Man.
yeah, Spider-Man, San Diego Comic-Con, or the the re-release
Of
of
Endgame.
yeah.
Additional actors slated to reprise their MCU roles include India Rose Hemsworth as Thor's adopted daughter Love and Catherine Newton as Scott Lang's daughter Cassie. Also expected to return are Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and Tom Holland as Spider-Man. There are conflicting reports about whether Ryan Reynolds will reprise his role as Deadpool. It's like this is even bigger than Endgame, and as far as like the cast of thousands, it's like the only people who like aren't in this are any of the Guardians characters,
Yeah.
Hulk,
Yep.
Captain Marvel, Nick Fury,
Yeah.
and that's about it. It's like everybody else pretty much is. I mean, none of the Eternals, but I kind of doubt that they're ever going to revisit the Eternals, to be honest.
I think they might to a certain extent, but only certain characters.
Well, I mean, they did the thing with the like the Blade teaser in that movie, of course, but then they still haven't gotten the Blade movie off the ground.
Which I don't think it will, unfortunately.
That's too bad too. I was looking forward to seeing Mahershala Ali in that role.
Same here.
And this is also interesting that Ruffalo isn't in this, considering that he is in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if he's playing Hulk or if he's just playing Dr. Banner. I mean, we'll have to kind of see. I mean, that's the thing for the trailer they've released for Spider-Man so far, and I saw that trailer again yesterday. It's very much a teaser in the sense that you don't really know exactly what it is that's going on. I mean, like he's undergoing some kind of changes and he's like trying to reintroduce himself to his friends who don't remember him anymore, but it's also and we know Punisher's in it. But we don't really know it's not real heavy on like the plot or even really who the villain is. You do see the villain, but it's like I can't even remember who it is.
Yeah, it's
not
kind
like
of
it's not one of the traditionally big Spider-Man villains that I think people think of.
no, I mean you see a couple villains in there, but it's kind of like they have a lot of hidden stuff. And once again, someone dissected the trailer and they're doing the same thing they've done before with the other Spider-Man trailers where you see something dramatic and they took people out of it that are in the movie. So it was like you see Spider-Man against all these people. It's like, wait a minute, the other two Spider-Men should be in there, but they took them out because you don't see that until the actual movie comes out. It's the same thing with this one. They're doing the same thing. So there's people missing in those trailers that you'll see in the movie.
So according to Wikipedia, the cast list for Spider-Man Brand New Day: Tom Holland as Spider-Man, Zendaya as MJ, Sadie Sink, no cast or no character listed. Jacob Batalon as
Jean Grey, though, I think.
Yeah, Jacob Batalon as Ned, John Bernthal as Frank Castle, Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Michael Mando as Mac Gargan, Scorpion.
Yep.
He was previously captured by Spider-Man and arrested in the film Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't remember that, so I guess I might have to go rewatch that part. And then Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, Hulk. So, it says here, okay, because where I was wondering too is like, because of course last time we saw him was in, well, no, we saw him in She-Hulk, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it says here, Banner wears an inhibitor device to suppress the gamma radiation in his body and appear in his human form. This technology was introduced during Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and explained in She-Hulk. See, I totally forgot that it's been so long since I watched She-Hulk.
Yeah, I know. Same here.
And it says, additionally, Marvin Jones portrays Lonnie Lincoln Tombstone, a crime boss with albinism, near indestructible skin, and superhuman strength. And it mentions a few other people. Somebody who was in Daredevil Born Again. The characters Boomerang and Tarantula, as well as the organization The Hand, also appear in the film.
Yep, that's
Charlie
the ninjas.
Cox is expected to reprise his role as Daredevil.
Yep.
But then it says here Cox has denied his involvement. Well, I
He
mean,
could deny all he wants, but
I
we
was
know
gonna say
that's
if he's supposed to keep it under wraps, of course he's gonna deny it. So I mean,
yeah.
but no, I am very intrigued to see what they do with that because of course the whole he made everybody forget who he is thing. I hate that. I hate that kind of plot thing, you know. So
I mean, they did it in the comics too.
yeah, I know. Isn't that one of the things that was very
Controversial in the comics.
yeah and not
Yeah, it
well
was.
received? So I don't know, but we'll so again, like I said, we'll see how it goes. I'm at the point because, and it's probably because of the various toxic fan bases are such a fucking turn off
Yes.
that I just don't get myself worked up about this shit that much anymore. Like I've seen so many people say, "Oh, I think the Mandalorian trailer looks awful." I think the Mandalorian trailer looks just fine. And you know what the
Oh,
thing
it's
of it
fine.
is too? You still don't know a lot about specifically what the movie's about exactly, other than like him and Grogu are off on adventures. They're trying to do something for the New Republic. There's, you know, Sigourney Weaver's character, which
Yep.
again, Sigourney Weaver in a Star Wars movie. That's just fucking awesome to me for some reason. And you know, you see like the Hut characters that you saw in Book of Boba Fett and everything, and you know, you see a lot of interesting looking new aliens and monsters and shit. And so I'm like, yeah, just give me that.
And the
Give me
other
something
people
that feels
from,
like Star Wars.
the animated show, God, I can't remember the name of the animated show now. With the
Rebels?
ghost and all them. Chopper.
Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, Zev is in this.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I think is a way to reintroduce him to people. I mean, obviously he showed up in that one cameo in that one Mandalorian episode. But I think this is a way just to kind of reintroduce him because he's going to appear in season 2 of Ahsoka, which is coming out sometime this year. They haven't specifically said when.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they haven't yet.
Probably more so late summer, fall, I'm thinking. Because they won't want to release it anytime that close to this movie. So
Oh, no, definitely not.
yeah.
But
So yeah, like I said, I'm very much looking forward to Mandalorian. So this is pretty funny. So I already bought tickets for that for me and my dad. I'm taking off the day it comes out, May 22nd, because it's Memorial Day weekend, so I'll have a nice 4-day weekend, right? Last night, after I've gotten home from the movie, right around the time I was finding out about the Red Sox firing their manager and pretty much all of their coaching staff,
yeah, that was insane.
my dad calls me, and I figured that's what he's calling me about. So I'm like, yes, I know. He's like, what? And I'm like, yes, I know that the Red Sox just fired their manager and their whole coaching staff. And he's like, what? And I was like, oh, you didn't incur that. Here's what he was calling about. My mother saw the trailer for the Mandalorian movie, and I was like, oh, I think I'd like to go see that. So I went and bought a ticket for her too.
Oh, so she wants to go now.
She's never watched The Mandalorian.
But that trailer hooked her.
I think the only thing that she's ever seen of The Mandalorian is I showed her the Luke scene from the season 2 finale.
Oh, yes.
So I told my dad, okay, fine, I'll buy her ticket. She's obviously more than welcome to come. I said, but what you're going to have to do now is make her watch season 1, season 2, the Book of Boba Fett, and season 3 then. She's going to have to watch it all. And he was like, why does she have to watch the Book of Boba Fett? I said, because remember, he hooks back up with Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett. Because if you don't show her the Book of Boba Fett, you see the end of season 2, he goes off with Luke, and then you'll see the beginning of season 3, they're back together, and she won't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I said, so that's why you got to watch the Book of Boba Fett, because the Book of Boba Fett in so many ways turned into Mandalorian season 2.5.
I know, so weird how they did that, but whatever.
Yeah, but so I'm like, so okay, so you got 4 weeks to show her, you know, if you
a lot of binge watching there, buddy.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so real quick, I mean, I think it's entirely doable.
Oh, it's doable.
For
sure.
I mean, each season of The Mandalorian was only 8 episodes. And Book of Boba Fett, I want to say, was only 6.
I think it was.
No, it was 7. It was 7. Okay.
Okay.
So That's 24 plus 7. It's 31. Okay, so if you do 2 episodes a night, you're done in 2 weeks. That's entirely doable because none of the episodes that I can recall are as long as even as an hour, so
Yeah, no, it's doable for
yeah.
sure.
Now, of course, there's going to be certain things that she's not going to understand. Like she may not fully understand when Ahsoka appears. Well, actually, no, she will. They kind of reintroduce Ahsoka. When they watch Book of Boba Fett, though, when from the desert comes a stranger,
Mm,
she's definitely not going to understand who that character is, and that my dad's going to have to explain him to her.
yeah, he will. He definitely will.
Oh, because I watch the movie reaction channels and everything. One of my favorite things is watching people's reaction to that scene because you start seeing him, walk out of like the desert haze and everything. And so many people are immediately going, "Is that Cad Bane?"
Yep,
Oh, it's so
indeed.
awesome. So I just wish they hadn't killed him, but
Yeah, that was the part I was a little surprised about, not gonna lie.
maybe they figured there was nothing else they can really do with that character. And I go, he's a bounty hunter. There's like literally anything you can do with that character.
You can do a lot of things with a bounty hunter for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
I have good hopes for that movie. I think it's gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope it is too, because I think people are a little bit down on Star Wars again right now. So
Yeah,
I
because the Ray movie keeps getting like delayed for random shit. So like they need to get their shit together and figure out what they're gonna do with her.
well, and they're still doing this Starfighter movie, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that comes out next year.
yeah, Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
No, this isn't the same. No, okay, yeah, this is called Starfighter. This is not Rogue Squadron. Remember they announced a Rogue Squadron movie that they then canceled?
Yes.
Oh, this is also after Rise of Skywalker. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, okay. And we've also got Matt Smith, Mia Goth, Aaron Pierre, and Amy Adams in this movie. So,
We'll see. Like because
and yeah, like you said, May 28th, 2027.
so what they were supposed to do, like that movie is supposed to come out, and then they were hoping to have a Ray movie to be come out either later that year or beginning of 2028.
But yeah, that's not coming anytime soon, it sounds like.
So if they need to get that, they need to get their shit together. Like Star Wars is like I understand the Marvel shit, but don't let Star Wars go by the wayside because I know you have your animated shows and stuff like that, but even then, like Maul's a good show so far, but
I watched the first episode and a half. I had to stop watching the second episode because my podcast came on and then I forgot to put them all back on after my podcast was over. So I got
yeah,
to
I've
pick that
I've
back
one
up and
episode
then
I
I'll
gotta
watch
watch
the rest
yet.
of it.
But yeah, I like it so far. It's interesting.
So, okay, so doing a Google search and getting the Google AI overview confirmed an upcoming Star Wars movies: Mandalorian and Grogu, Star Wars Starfighter, and then it says New Jedi Order expected 2027/2028. Well, I think 2028 at the earliest still because
That's the Ray movie, yeah.
that's the Rey movie. It says, yeah. Other projects in development: Dawn of the Jedi, directed by James Mangold, exploring the origins of the Force. So that would be like long past.
Yep.
A Lando film developed by Donald and Stephen Glover, which I'd love to see Donald Glover play Lando again.
Same.
New trilogy. Simon Kinberg is writing a new trilogy intended to follow the Skywalker saga. Okay, it was all right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then it still lists the Rogue Squadron movie directed by Patty Jenkins, but I just don't think that that's actually happening. Okay, and then there's another thing here. Upcoming Star Wars films, one sentence summary as well: Mandalorian, Grogu, Starfighter, Untitled Rey, New Jedi Order film, Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi, Untitled Dave Filoni New Republic event film, a theatrical crossover centered on the New Republic. That's supposed to be the one I think is supposed to wrap up all of these post Return of the Jedi series. So that means Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah. Untitled Taika Waititi Star Wars film. Oh, Rogue Squadron. It says here Patty Jenkins has this Starfighter focus film back in active development. Okay.
Okay.
Untitled Simon Kinberg Star Wars trilogy, Lando, and then a droid story, an animated Disney Plus Star Wars film featuring R2D2 and C3PO. Doesn't say when it would be set, and this is I found this thing on a Reddit post which is dated 4 months ago, so it's not too far.
No, it's not too far off.
Not too long ago that I wouldn't expect this to be somewhat accurate and everything, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so we'll see.
And then of course somebody says, other than Mandalorian and Grogu and Mandalorian and Starfighter, I seriously doubt any of these are going to really happen. Most of them were announced as in development 5+ years ago and haven't had any real movement or updates since. I mean, fair.
That's a fair assessment.
And then somebody replied that saying, Droid Story is 100% dead. Rogue Squadron in its initial, I think it's supposed to say initial, but he misspelled it, is a form 100% dead as well, though I imagine we will get something like that at some point if it's not already in Starfighter. Dave's movie will happen, but it probably depends on how Mando does this here. I could also see them shifting it to a TV show instead in that case, but that story will happen in some form, especially with Dave likely being the new creative boss of Lucasfilm. Dawn of the Jedi will probably happen at some point, though. If Mangold will still be the director is questionable. He just signed a new deal with Paramount, and people are probably down on him after Indiana Jones 5. Taika's movie seems pretty dead for now as well. Lando, yeah, IDK 50-50, that one will still happen. I'm fairly coincident. I think he meant to say confident. That the Rey movie will happen in some form, and then Simon Kinberg's trilogy pretty alive for now. The news only came out a bit over a year ago, and then, but these are just people speculating on this shit too. These aren't people who have any knowledge. So
yeah, true.
And hey, what good is the internet if for anything other than endless, baseless speculation?
Of course, of course.
What would we do if it wasn't for the internet giving us all this time and energy to,
talk about rumors, and if they're true,
Yeah. So, but all right, I'm kind of talked out.
Yeah, we're good. We can end the show. Absolutely, end the recording.
So that was our summer movie preview 2026.
Yes, indeed. All right, fans, like always, click that subscribe, click those likes, leave comments, let us know what you think of us jabronis. And as Jeremy would say, I hope you finished with us. Yeah.